Stjörnor helt vindringsbart dit. Jord hunger hon där skall dräntor. Regn om ström några vad sist. Börjar kallir vilt er på se tunnor med klånat
Oh, Malphite. All right, here we go. Just
still going for this place. She would have. Chimera super low.
Trouble, but there's the Rakan coming in for the shielding. The shielding again.
Oh my god!
They lose.
And everyone bow down to Venomcrest. Two-time champions. Bow down to Jim. Hello there, everybody. Welcome in for another edition of the playoffs here in the Four Nations. We've got two teams that are going to be coming before you, Brod and Friends and Venomcrest Serpents, that are looking to do battle onto the Rift to push themselves one step closer to glory in Stoke-on-Trent. My name is Middlecott, and joining me for this series, we have got a couple of exceptional analysts, so let's bring them in. We've got a man who, to rebel during his teenage years, he started playing with Duplo. It is Torek. How are you doing, my man?
I'm absolutely thrilled, absolutely stoked to be here, some might say. I had to get that one out the way early. Very much looking forward to seeing the series today.
Absolutely dreadful stuff yourself. And joining us is a man from the Netherlands whose greatest claim to fame is looking like a recently homeless Londoner. We have got Bandit joining us in the studio. How are you doing, broski?
Yeah, I'm all right. I am a bit distracted currently. I was looking for those excellent casters you were mentioning. I was like, maybe they're behind me. But besides that, yeah, we were doing absolutely wonderful.
Yes. So let's sort of bring it in a little bit and talk about what we've got going on in the UKEL. We are getting very, very close to Stoke-on-Trent, Bandit. The competition really is heating up, and that means that each of these series that we're having is just going to be higher pressure.
Higher pressure and less margin for error. The competition is ramping up, and if you are not ramping up with it, then there's only one way out for you.
And Tarek, I think you're someone who knows a little bit about the ramp up that you need to do going through a playoffs bracket. What's the mindset be like for our two teams heading onto the Rift tonight?
Well, the mindset should be to play with absolute freedom, to go out there and enjoy it. You know, this is the time you get to perform, the time you get to have fun, you get to show everything you've been building on the entire split. You want to be playing with that sort of relaxed, focused mindset where you're not, putting too much stakes on the series. You're also not, on the flip side, not caring too little. Obviously, you do need to care, have that nice sort of line struck between both of them. But we'll see how these two teams turn up today. It could be any kind of mindset with these guys, I think.
Yeah, no, of course, especially given the two teams that we have got on the Rift tonight, and that is going to be the Brod and Friends and the Venomcrest Serpents. We're going to be talking about them a little bit just as soon as we get like a roster or something up, because I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, gentlemen, I didn't plan too much of this pre-show, so I think we're just going to go into it a little bit rough, a little bit ready, So here we are going to have the Venomcrest Serpents, and I think that maybe more so than the faces on our screen, Torek, there is a name underneath that roster that should be raising a few eyebrows.
There is an absolutely ridiculous name under that roster, and the fact that I'm seeing Unlimited just chilling out in the UKL shows how far this league has risen in stature over the course of time immemorial. I mean, for those of you who don't know who Unlimited is, he has been in the LEC. He's coached loads of really great players over his time, in competing in League of Legends, and now he's come to the UKEL to coach FaZe. So that is the type of caliber that Venomcrest is working with, and I mean, it's very exciting to see him here. Obviously, I wonder how much of a difference it might make today.
Yeah, because I will say he just got here, right? Like it's not even been a full week, if I recall correctly. So how much of a difference will that really make on the Rift? I'm hopeful, but maybe it's also proper to set our expectations, right? This is not a magical fix for all their problems.
Definitely not, but I think we also need to look at the Venomcrest roster on the whole as this is a very strong group of players, and I think that because of all the issues that they had actually having this 5 on the Rift through the regular split, we didn't necessarily see that strength come to fore, but they've been really having a little bit of a tear through the playoffs, and if Unlimited can add to that in any small way, Torok, I think that surely that's something that we're going to be happy with if we are Venomcrest fans in this hypothetical.
Yeah, absolutely. And although, I mean, this is the thing, right? You don't know yes, it got announced this week. He might have had some time with the team before. It's hard to imagine, of course. We don't have all the details, but it has to be said that even a couple of scrims can make a real difference. Of course, it's not going to necessarily be transformative in terms of habit formation and all those really important long-term things, but there might be a couple of quick fixes, a couple of new ideas, a couple of draft changes that could actually make a real impact today that hopefully Unlimited's been working on.
Yeah, and I mean, how many times do you see a team in the lower half of the Premier League get some random guy in as a caretaker and they win 5 on the bounce? We are going to be having a little bit of a look at Venomcrest's opponents in this matchup, and it is, of course, the Brod and Friends. That lineup so familiar. Akers, Porp, QQR, Spark, Zeta, real veterans of the UK scene, Tarek.
No doubt about it. These guys have seen an Insomnia or two. Porp obviously a part of that incredible Singularity roster that went 0-18 or something. Okay, sorry, that was a bit harsh in the NLC. But has also done a very good job around the entire UK scene. I mean, these guys know how to play together. They've got a lot of synergy. They are a team that is UKL through and through. So this should be their comfort zone today.
Yeah, and then Bandit, is there anyone in particular that you're looking at from this Brod and Friends lineup that you're thinking, yeah, no, this guy is a real linchpin and someone that they can really focus around to carry?
For me, I mean, we discussed it a tiny bit earlier, and I've heard some of your comments as well. QQR is just the man to look out for here. And if you can get him set up for success, he can take you all the way there. But that is kind of what worries me a little bit. The momentum currently is just not on their side, coming off a tough loss into the lower bracket. Meanwhile, Venomcrest has been cruising ever since they entered.
Yeah, and I think you need to look at that series that Brod won versus Gucci, and that first game was really not under their control for really up until they last hit that Nexus. So you do have to start thinking, well, what can this team actually do? And I think that Bandit, we're sort of dancing around the fact that, yes, we've got 2 teams here, but they're both 2 very strong teams, and maybe it feels almost a little bit early to see them in this part of the bracket, even though we've only got a few teams remaining.
It's a bit early in the bracket, maybe, sure, but when you're fighting for your life and you've come out of the series that Brod and Friends has come out of, will Venomcrest Serpents give them that same kind of leeway? And I think the answer to that is no. So Brod has to clean up the act quite intensely to keep themselves in the game, because I think the punishment that Venomcrest can dish out will be of another level today.
Yeah, and I think we do have a specific head-to-head matchup that we are going to be looking at, and it is, of course, the bot lane. I think when you're looking at players to carry from Brod and Friends, QQR's a big name, Spark is another one, Torok, and then Chrisberg is also a player whose quality has never really been in doubt.
Yeah, and I mean, just take a look at the damage per minute stat. I think that's the one that I really want to put your attention to. Of course, this can get inflated versus some of the lower teams in the league, so you might have a little bit of DMG farming per minute that goes on with some of these teams. But it is actually a really useful stat, especially on AD carries, to show what they're doing in game. And the fact that Chrisberg is hitting over 1,000 damage per minute on average is unreal. I mean, that is just ridiculous stats from any perspective you want to look at it.
I think you have to just bring it home like that. This is an insane stat, a good proper gold income as well, and translating that gold income to this amount of damage is something, if you cannot contain it, it will run over you.
Yes, and well, I think 2 very different style of AD carries as well. Chrisberg, I would say, is very consistent. Spark just sort of turns up for Brod when they need him most. But before we throw it to the game, before we throw it to our casters, before we get into anything like that, we need to have a look at our predictions, because you've got to put it on the line, and we have all gone Brod. Oh dear. Oh dear. Well, I don't know if I got a coin somewhere that I can flip. Someone needs to advocate for Venomcrest on this desk. If either of you want to volunteer?
I will happily volunteer. I went 2-1. Oh, it's two of us who are willing to volunteer, so there you go.
I think I must have messed it up, but I personally believe Venomcrest is going to take it 2-0. From
Ooh.
the strengths that they've been seeing on the side of Venomcrest, what does Broad have to get back into the game? You guys are bringing up the AD carries. I was bringing up the mid lane. But I think FaZe can just get such a grip on the game and not allow carries to reach their full potential.
We get like a PNG of like the Venomcrest logo just to cover that for Bandit, just so it makes it looks a little bit better. But I think it's a very good point. I guess Torek, when you obviously you've made this 2-1 prediction, so you're not saying it's going to be a sure thing. But what element of Broad and Friends for you says that they are going to have that advantage?
I think to some degree there is that synergy from just playing together for a long time. You know, these guys just know each other. And when it comes to playing in the lower bracket, it comes to, imagine it gets to a little 1-1 situation or they lose the first game 1-0. They're not going to be sitting there like stressing about going out. And that's a really big advantage because as much as, they will want to be making it further in the UKL, they'll want to be making it to Stoke. They also know that like this is their playground. And the reason why the reason why this all also can come together for them is I don't think there'll be a point where they actually reach sort of the stress point of never coming back.
Yeah,
There'll always be a chance for Broad to win, and that mentality is really healthy for a team to have at this point in the competition. It probably will serve them pretty well.
Yeah, you can say a great many things about Broad and Friends, but they are tenacious, and that is what you need to go far in a tournament like this. I hope it's going to be closer than I've made it out to be, and I hope that tenacity will serve them till the very end. It's just one thing left to find out.
That's just very poetic, Bandit, there. That was very deep, but I mean, yeah, I think that maybe not in terms of the lead position, but I think if you go off the legacy of these organizations, right, and you think about what Venomcrest have been able to accomplish in the UKL over the course of this year, they are the team that comes in with those titles under their belt, winning it last split, and it has been a very rough time for them in the summer here, but that doesn't take away what this organization has been able to accomplish, does it?
No, definitely not. I mean, if you have to take a look at it, Broad and Friends, yeah, they're tenacious till the end. But is there a more tenacious storyline than fighting your way up from the losers bracket all the way to Stoke? I mean, that sounds pretty cinema to me.
Oh, we need to. It's a funny place name. It's just Stoke. It just sums up what it means. Yes, but in terms of the overall importance of the series as well, I think that with what the ecosystem is looking like right now, I think that obviously Venomcrest playing up in the NLC, and I could definitely see a few of the players on this current roster that maybe would be promoted up to that roster, and then Broad and Friends have been very vocal about their ambitions to get up into the NLC and do stuff like that. So I think whilst maybe not a series that is going to decide anything big in that regard, I think from a more cultural perspective, there's definitely a lot of stuff at work here.
Yeah, I mean, these are some of the most driven players because the road up for them is still so long, right? This is only a step up in reaching that higher potential for themselves. So I hope they have been harsh for themselves in the last few weeks, because that is the way to get the most out of your team.
Yeah. And then coming to that team, Torek, obviously we are going to be having champions picked in this series, potentially quite a few of them. Are there any champions at the moment on this patch that you are thinking that we really need to prioritize as we are just about to head into Champion Select?
So here's the interesting thing about this patch. Really, you can let anything through as long as you have an answer. And I think this is actually how League has been for a little while, especially since Fearless, because at the end of the day, when you're heading into best of series and whatever else it might be, you really do just have the choice to say, we've got something in the bag for that, we'll remove that from the ban pool. Let's get rid of something more niche. It can also be that you just go straight down the counterpick route, the main meta ban route, and just get rid of whatever you feel like is most important to you. But I wouldn't actually focus in on the patch and say, let's get rid of this champ, let's get rid of this champ. It's what are we happy playing into? And so I think what we're seeing already from the bans is, Maokai not going to be something they want to play into.
No, not at all. And just a few viewers to note, we are actually experimenting with the new tournament format here at the Four Nations, where both teams will swap their rosters for Game 1. hopefully that's going to be sorted out in just a moment, or at the very least for game 2. But yeah, we are seeing a few target bans as well. I think that Nunu being taken away from, it would be Phrase, the jungler for Venomcrest, swapped over, makes a lot of sense. And the Udyr as well is something that he heavily prioritizes, as well as those 2 mages taken off the board by Venomcrest, trying to reduce QQR's impact on this game.
Yeah, and I mean the thing that sparks to mind immediately is the fact that Yunara is left open on the board, and it's not being first picked.
Strange one.
Has it? Have we just fallen off a price? And even the answers coming through, not even remotely in sight. So we are playing on a different plane where priorities have to be recalibrated about what will be the most useful pick, or still maybe scared of playing the Yunara into that Aurora that can just blow it up in a blink of an eye.
Perhaps more interesting if we just take a look how this has started. They've answered Orianna Sion into the Aurora, essentially saying we're happy with both these matchups. Go and pick what you want. And from the side of, I don't know if the teams have got around to be correct at this point yet, but from the team on the left-hand side, they've decided to answer and say Aurora is happy at mid into the Orianna, which is a very reasonable take. It shows they're prioritizing actually getting a good matchup for their top laner, which is obviously very useful. I think Cho'Gath and Sion is one of those matchups that only gets better throughout the game for Cho. It's very easy for him to stack. He gets a lot of opportunities to play into the Sion. Of course, they're both going to end up being beefy boys in the end, but at least this is sort of enabling what should be quite an explosive mid 2v2 from both teams, because both of them should be looking for an AD skirmish jungler, and this will be really important in the game as we go forward.
Yeah, the thing that worries me a little bit is as the pools get a little smaller in the AD carry department, if Broad and Friends do not choose to pick up an AD carry, and they don't seem to, you can really start banning out these carries that are well equipped to deal with the Cho'Gath, or that are well equipped to deal with the Aurora. So I think by prioritizing your jungler here as Broad and Friends, you're leaving yourself vulnerable to have your backline be playing on the back foot for the main part of the game.
Yeah, but I think at least what we've got here from the Rod and Friends is a very clear stylistic angle, right? You've got the Sion who wants to go in, you've got the Nocturne who wants to go in, and both those champions can carry the ball well for Orianna. I feel like that is always going to form a strong core, so maybe the plan for them is that they can sacrifice a little bit of the priority on their bot lane because they've got such a strong, cohesive unit with their other 3 picks.
Interestingly, I would say they're actually prioritizing their bot lane more by dropping it. I'm very much the opinion that Yunara is not as strong as a lot of people believe she is, so I was not surprised when she was being sort of slowly dropped through the draft. I know we were expecting her to potentially be first picked on the other side of things. I think you've got a lot of good answers into Yunara. For example, Tristana is still available. Ashe, I think, is a really strong answer. You can even go down Caitlyn routes. There's loads of choices. Corki is still open. I mean, this is probably the best AD carry on the patch, in my opinion. So the fact that they've got it on 4-5 is completely criminal. And on top of that, they've now got support counter pick as well, so they can take whatever sort of synergy buster with Nocturne, like Rakan, Alistar, probably some kind of engaged champ as well, just to go sort of in, because that's the theme of their comp. But pick it into a matchup that looks good and obviously looks as effective as possible into the enemy comp.
Yeah, and the currently the scaling department on Broad and Friends is looking quite well. I'll be very honest. It's really Broad and Friends throwing down the gauntlet, saying you do not have what it takes to punish us early, and you don't even come close to match us in the late game. Come and get it.
Yeah, and it's, to be very clear, Venomcrest seem pretty happy with this arrangement. Picking the Wukong into Nocturne suggests they're happy to wait till 6 before they start fighting. It's not a very proactive early game jungler, so both junglers in this series are going to be taking it pretty slow. Of course, fights could happen, but in theory, they should both be waiting for their ults. They should both be waiting for sort of these synergistic fights where they, combine up with their Lulu, they combine up with their, mid laner who also has a very big ult. Aurora and Orianna, both super important. And it'd be really interesting if they go Nami here, because I would say that doesn't particularly synergize with their comp. I don't know if that's been locked in. But ignoring that for a second, the skirmishing around mid at level 6 with the combination of ultimates is something to really keep your eye on this game. How they use Nocturne Ori, how they use Wukong Aurora, really, really big.
Yeah, so it does look like the Nami pick has been locked in there. So Rod and Friends, yet another victim, another group of individuals not getting value out of a Tesco meal deal. But Bandit, yes, continue with your points.
Yeah, I think it is going to be so important for both of the teams, even more so than in a regular game, is to keep track of these junglers. A proper flank can turn an entire fight in just the blink of an eye. Both the Wukong has the follow-up with the Yunara and the support with the Lulu to really go in deep and come out the other end still breathing. But the same is true for the Nocturne, and engaging into a Nami. It's just going to be really, really tricky. So the question for me is, Venomcrest, how bad do you feel the need to force it, or are you more comfortable letting Braun and Friends come into you, considering that they have that little range advantage with the Corki?
Yeah, I think that the issue that sometimes Brod and Friends can have is that when they try and go proactive, everything goes a little bit wrong. But what they are quite able to do is fight when they're on the back foot. But that doesn't really feel like what this composition is built to do, Torek.
Yeah, I mean, it's very much a comp that can be played in two ways. So there's a lot of burst. You know, you can think that you can put Nocturne with Nami E, with Orianna ult onto someone like Yunara, and they will just get one shot. And then that can be a really good way to start fights. You also do have a lot of consistent damage with the Nami Corki combo to sort of kite out a fight as it goes along. So they do have options. The reason why I feel like it's a little less cohesive, though, is they've kind of picked a front-to-back champion with Corki Orianna. These champs, I'm not to say they can't front to back by any means, but it wouldn't be the typical scenario I would look for an enchanter here. I think at least, you know, if I was drafting for Brod and Friends, I would probably just look at Rakan, even though the matchup isn't as good, or something like this, because of just
Even
how much more synergistic. Yeah, but I'm just thinking how much more synergistic it is with something like Nocturne, right? You can then actually have that sort of skirmish duo that can go in together. Now you've got two champs that, you know, will operate on other sides of the fight, and you've got to hope that the spells you press at the beginning are the ones in the right order. You know, did you E Nocturne correctly, and does he one-shot his target, or are you playing for some other win condition, and will that pay off? There's a lot of decision making that goes into this Nami pick now.
It's tricky. It's a tricky composition to play. If it goes well, it is an absolute marvel of how to execute a non-conformative team composition. But what I'm a little fearful of is how proper will the follow-up be if Pop does go in a little deeper than he intended to, or they do flash away, and you are
It
stuck
can very
in
quickly
with
become
the
Nocturne and
Wukong
no
and the
friends.
Lulu.
It can very quickly become Nocturne and no friends. You know, he's just going to be chilling in the back line. Nobody's going to be around him, and he's going to have nothing in the tank. And guess what? That is when Yunara absolutely thrives. You know, with a Lulu attached to her, the Nocturne can die, and then you just start getting run over in the opposite. And I think we do need to look at Venomcrest comp for that in a second, because they're super mid-range, super cohesive. So, you know, if they can survive that initial burst, which they should itemize for, they should obviously try to play around. Actually, if they just get a sort of relatively even pitched fight where somebody doesn't get one shot, I feel like they have a far more well-rounded, or at least like more thematic composition, I suppose, that makes just a little bit more sense together. I'm not saying it's great versus the enemy team, but all the champs fit together in the right way. And maybe that's that unlimited effect. You know, we gotta watch out for it, but I guess we'll see how it goes.
Is this the narrative now that we've got around Venomcrest? Anything good that this team now does
Yeah.
is because of Unlimited. Now, screw the fact that they won their last series 2-0. No, it's fine. It's fine. No. 2-1, rather. I made a mistake. Maybe they did need Unlimited all along. Yes, but I think it is right that we're talking about the Venomcrest competition, because, like you are saying, Tarek, it does feel more together in what you want to do. And when we are looking at the way that Brod and Friends are going to need to interact with it, we're joking about Nocturne and no friends, but that is a very real concern. Nocturne and no friends, all of a sudden, you've got an advantage in the fight, your Venomcrest, and one of the things that Yunara is so good at is just chasing down people. I feel like part of Riot's design philosophy for AD carries over the last 8 years or something has been very focused on this idea of an AD carry getting one kill at the start of a team fight and really starting to take over. And this feels like a composition that is maybe not built completely around the Yunara, but is built to let her do her thing. Real quick, gents, I'm going to need one word from the both of you. Venomcrest or Brod? Torek?
Venomcrest.
Bandit?
Venomcrest.
Casters, take it away.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Caster Desk, joined by Rob. We have shared multiple opinions about that draft that we've initially seen. So, Rob, how are you feeling about this first game? Share us your opinions.
Yeah, I'm kind of on board with Torok's thoughts here, honestly. Up until sort of the final pick, I actually didn't mind what Rob was building, but the Nami has really thrown a loop for me because I think you don't really have the Nocturne coming in. Hold on. I'm getting pinged. No, never mind. It's all right. My mic is fine. Sorry about that. I think like the Nami kind of throws you for a bit of a loop because you want something to follow in with the Nocturne. You don't want your primary engage to be Nocturne Orianna every single time. Could have been a Rakan. There's maybe a Rel, although you could argue that Lulu's you can deny that engage with her wild growth. So I liked what Torok was bringing up. I think that all those points are very valid, and I mean we have our predictions as well. I believe from production. I don't know if they're able to bring that up. But already, I think my prediction of Brods being 2-0ing this is already looking quite poor. Because I think this is a very good draft by Venomcrest.
Yeah, and it's been a talking point. Unlimited coming in, wealth of experience. I think the desk really broke down what this individual has achieved in his career. But it's fantastic to see. You already see in that opening draft. And whilst Broad and Friends, they do have good components in their composition. We were both not exactly like upset with the Broad draft. You look at the Venomcrest one, you're like, gosh, that is what an LEC coach can produce.
Are we going to do this? Are we going to do this? Middlecom, are we going to do this every time the Venomcrest do anything good? We're like, that's the Unlimited effect, baby. Unlimited coming in. It's clear the kind of progress he's made with the team in such a short space of time. He's the best. While I agree with you, I think that this is also just... I like Ketsuo dropping, his pick putting his pick B1, dropping his sort of own personal sort of advantages within a lane, taking that Aurora early. I like what we're seeing from Venomcrest overall. Counters in top. The Yunara, I agree with Torok, isn't as strong as people make out to be, but this is just Venomcrest playing champions they've already played before. I think that this is just, maybe Unlimited might have worked on some of the for fun we sort of saw coming out of some of the Venomcrest players, like the refreshers and the phrases. I think for draft, Venomcrest have always had a pretty okay read on it overall. I think Unlimited, hopefully. I just want to because we're going to talk about Unlimited a lot in this series. If this goes to Venomcrest, there's going to be only discussions of Unlimited for like the next 24 hours.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, there's probably something worth discussing, which is, we were quite vocal about how we viewed each side of the lower round playoff match. We have both gone for Broad and Friends predictions for a specific reason. Maybe you could expand a little bit on that.
I mean, I think Broad, you were just saying about the low bracket, I think Broad versus Chi was a better showing. I think Venomcrest up against Rise, I think was such a back and forth series where both teams had one stomp by Venomcrest game 1, then a stomp by Rise game 2, and then game 3 was just a bit of a mess. I feel like the cleanliness from Broad was just a bit better in that lower bracket series you last saw. And then going even further back, it's hard to put. I was still saying it's hard to put sort of weight on the Venomcrest versus Absolve win, because that was another case of a team looking like they were losing to Venomcrest, as in they were losing to themselves rather than Venomcrest beating them. And so for me, I still think Broad should be favourites to make it all the way to Stoke. Actually, I think they should be favourites to get through the next round as well. This is where it starts really for them. They need to sort it out because they need to get to that finals, Savonix. They've got to be there in Stoke, 40 Broads deep.
They do. I mean, they have never made it to a LAN final since it has been introduced in the Four Nations, and I feel like UK scene, the fandom, they're crying out for Broad presence. Even us here at the broadcast would love to feature Broad and Friends at the grand finals. And I mean, opening game, doing some scoreboard shuffling so we can see who is on what position. All right, just to start things off, Rob, how is this early game going to go?
Overall, we should just be seeing as interesting name coming out from Sparkle's old Lee Priest 97. Where's that come from? We're allowing name changes now? Anyway, early on in this game, we should just be seeing it being pretty stable overall. Wukong, I think we've seen from Phrase, just in general, not just on the Wukong, wanting to path bot lane, playing for Chrisberg. The gameplay style coming out of Venomcrest has always been so focused around this bot lane, and with this tank match up top, that's what we expect, right? And then if you're looking at Nocturne Orianna, they really want to be making plays around that level 6. Can look for a small skirmishes early, but generally want to get to that power point and having that shockwave and the Nocturne ultimate online. So expect a bit of action around bot. Expect Phrase maybe he's starting bot lane here, which is very surprising. But I feel like he should be really trying to force on this bot early and trying to make sure Chrisberg has a good time, because despite our concerns about Nami, Corki Nami is a very strong early bot lane, able to put down a lot of damage. But already we're seeing here fighting over getting this level 2. I think he gets it first because this Corki damage early is very strong. Let's not discount Yunara.
Yeah, barrier already being used. Chrisberg and Mateu feeling confident in the 2 vs 2. AD carry enchanted combination. You've seen the early power of the Lulu trading, and remember that this Nami was an R5 or wasn't that favored on the analyst desk. I think that opening trade may have signified why.
And this is also Matthew's favourite champion in Lulu. It is his bread and butter, the one that, you know, has got him to the heights in solo queue. So you should expect a lot more understanding of the limits of this Lulu, which coming in late as well. It's surprising that he maybe was able to pick that up, given how well he performed in the previous series against Rise on it in the game 3 as well. And looking at top lane, this is surprising, because Cho'Gath usually can kind of beat up on the Scion. And Refresh is already having a really hard time of it in this top matchup.
Yeah, my next point actually was like, I feel like Venomcrest, they're quite easy to read. You have Chrisberg and Mateo in the bot lane, very strong players, but look at the solo lanes. This is exactly what happened against Rise. Ketsu and Refresh really struggling out here. And I feel like for Venomcrest, it's all about a timer. It's like, can Chrisberg get ahead by the time Refresh and Ketsuo won't just completely lose their lanes?
It does seem to be that. It was that way, really, in that Rise series as well. And this is what's surprising about the pathing coming out of FaZe here, is because despite the winning stance that their bot lane has, he's not really lending Chrisberg any of his aid to keep playing aggressive in this lane. Porp is going to be on this bot side getting this bottom crab, so it is going to be basically not a split map, but, you know, one crab each. And Porp could be in a spot to try and look for a gank here. If a bubble lands, is there a threat on killing Matthew and Chrisberg, or he's burning some flashes? Chrisberg is their win condition. Let's never forget that.
Yep, Chrisberg definitely is, but that trade looking much better for the Corki Nami. I guess level 3 is a pretty strong spike. You see Porp not opting for a bot side gank, instead just parking back towards his Raptors. Attackers should be absolutely fine, as FaZe is just wasting a bit of time. This is really nice for Refresh here. He was losing some early trades, and we'll get some space in the top lane.
It is space, but you're making space in the tank versus tank matchup that really, I don't know if you need to put time into. Like, he's potentially cancelling. He does cancel Fraser's base. The tempo for this jungler's now already messed up. Can't maybe aid his bot lane. As long as Broad are aware that that base was cancelled, there shouldn't be any risks of, you know, the sort of running down bot and getting that double kill that we've seen happen so many times in playoffs so far on a jungler's reset.
Yeah.
And it's difficult this game to see, because FaZe, I was expecting more action around bot, and he's really not showing it.
Well, the important thing is being behind on tempo against a Nocturne is such a problem. Like, when this champion rushes to level 6, right now, you see on the minimap, Porp can clear out that top quadrant base, head over to these wolf camps. FaZe has only just started his second clear towards that top side, so Porp is going to have much faster tempo. As that dragon is still spawning as well, I doubt FaZe will be able to even contest this, especially with that bot lane priority that is being secured at the current moment. So, yeah, not to level 6. Orianna will hit level 6 at around the same time, and that is where they can start using that lethal mid-jungle combo.
And that's the big thing, right? You want to, as you're the Nocturne Orianna, is just, again, short little trades happening in the bot lane. Oh, a bit more damage going out for Chrisberg, actually, forcing the Valkyrie away. That's what you want if you're the Nocturne team, is to get to that level 6 turn. They always use that combo on the first objective you can fight with those ultimates up. So it's surprising me how slow this is happening, as Slow Wave has been pushed in here into Akkers. He's just going to pick the farm up. Not had to burn any TPs here in the top lane, so it's just going to be a little proxy, but this is what you expect from this matchup, right? Like, you just expect tanks against tanks and a bit of proxy farming and not much more, where again, we should be looking at bot, but nothing is happening. It's just a very quiet game, Savonix. But Porp, he's going to be happy with that, where he doesn't have to try and make things happen early on this Nocturne.
Yeah.
He's going around back. He's going around the back of the bot lane.
He is looking for a no vision coverage for the side of Venomcrest's bot lane. Chrisberg and Mateo potentially in a world of trouble. Goes forward, is going to be sparked. He's going to get some buff up damage from the Nami. It's going to be first blood secured by Porp on the Nocturne. Lack of vision, despite being pushed up, means Rod and friends get first blood.
And this is the complete opposite of what Venomcrest want. They want Chrisberg to be strong, especially with this Lulu, to make him stronger in those later fights as well, enchanting and giving them that extra attack speed and that damage. And instead, you're going to be put behind. The kill goes over to Nocturne, which in some ways you'd prefer that if the Corki got the kill, but it's not too bad. Nocturne can still do a bit of a number with a few kills in his pocket. And FaZe, he can't really answer anything back. Nocturne is ahead in CS, and he's got a kill. He's going to base and get towards what I believe to either Stride Breaker or that Hexplate first time. We'll have to see what he builds that Ruby Crystal and Longsword into. Really good start for Broad and friends, because it's just a stable game. They're going to get their ultimates online and take a fight around an objective. They're playing to their comp strength here, Savonics. And this is what Broad sometimes don't always do. Sometimes they play a little bit off of each other, a little bit off the time. But already in game one, positive signs coming out for the team that always the bridesmaids, never the brides. They got to get to finals this time.
They really got to. And what's really nice about this game as well is, you know, look at that solo lanes. Like, top lane, tank v tank, but Akers is currently winning it out. In the mid lane, that's a little bit more important to gather your lead as a control mage versus control mage. Orianna is the one winning it, and you've just put bot lane behind. So you're kind of checking a lot of check marks here up against what you need to do against Venomcrest. So really nice opener for Broad, and I guess we'll see what happens in this first objective.
And for me, weirdly enough, I know we say that usually Ketsuo and Refresh haven't had the best time lane. I think we need to be seeing something happen around mid and get Ketsuo in the game and force round bot.
Yeah,
Here goes Phrase.
Going on to QQR, Cyclone gonna knock up QQR. Shockwave, it's gonna pull Phrase back in the right direction, but it's not enough. Phrase, enough damage on the Wukong to get a kill back for Venomcrest.
That's so important here, as they're going to now split the objectives. You're going to see Paul go towards that dragon and then Phrase go towards the grubs. Ketsuo needs to be in this game, because if you're not able to get those win cons through simply ganking the bot lane, you know, getting Chrisberg leads off of basic, you know, map play, getting Ketsuo involved, pushing mid, and then playing as a 4-man onto the bot might be the next best thing, right? And so nice to see them able to break this up as Akers, he's looking to contest. This is a risk here from the lad. He shouldn't be here.
Yeah, it's a 1v3. He is going to have to use the unstoppable onslaught. Between Worlds was dropped by Ketsuo as well. And it's a lot of tools just to lose those 3 grubs anyway. I was under the assumption that they were going to handshake this, but down goes the flash, down goes the ultimate.
Yeah, and Akers right there, he should have known with the way the Wukong then walked out of mid lane, they were going for those grubs. And the fact they're not being contested is... Oh my god, the damage in bot. Hold on a second.
Bubble landing from Zeta. And Spark is going to unleash hell. The barrier is going to keep Chrisberg alive. But they are going to drop this minion wave, and even more terror in the bot side for Venomcrest.
And it's going from bad to worse in this bot. So look at the CS difference already. They're going to lose this wave and the next as a TP comes through from Refresh just to get that wave, so they're not dropping gold on the map. Wave and top is being pushed in as well. No matter what, Venomcrest, they're going to be losing here off of that chunk taken out of Chrisberg. And again, Broad, they're in a good spot here. They're in a really, really good spot, so we can't understate that.
Yeah, and the good thing actually about this is with waves being shoved in by both top and bot, they generate a turn to do the lane swap back. That's a response to what Venomcrest are doing, and so I don't think Broad and Friends are losing out at all. And there's no dragon on the bottom side to be spawning, so your strong bot lane don't have to be there now, and they can just catch the waves and play out this slow and methodical early game.
My only concern is Cho'Gath scaling. We've seen this split, how much a Cho'Gath can take over a game once he gets, a bit of gold in him, once he gets some HP items online. He's just unkillable by a lot of champions. And I do have a concern for Broad here about who is killing Refresh in these later fights. But at the moment, looking good. Let's see if they can get an Orianna Nocturne combo on someone, as Fraser's here trying to make a play on bot. But this is just, I feel like, again, the wrong kind of side of the map, because there's not that much support. Ketsuo is moving down. Akers doesn't have flash. Are they going to go for the dive? It's quite risky, but Unstoppable Onslaught also not up.
Yeah, Phrase is on vision, so I'm wondering if Corp's going to use this as a go button to head onto a gank in top lane. Doesn't seem like that will be the case, but yeah, I mean, I get the idea. I believe Phrase is trying to get himself fed off his solo laners due to the nature that they tend to use their lanes, and so we'll get pushed in. We are seeing a paranoia happening towards the top side. Cameron not panning over just yet, but it is now. Chrisberg under threat. Barrier was used earlier on the bottom side. Mateu is also going to go down. 2 kills secured on the top side for Broad and Friends.
Wasn't even the combination of the mid and jungle, it was simply just the Nocturne flying in and that crazy damage from the early game Corki. Look at the CS difference in bot lane right now, Sonics. It's absolutely massive. We're talking, 25-30 CS. And if this is what we're seeing coming out early on in what we had as our featured matchup, this could be a great day for the Broad fans, for the Broad Ultras. Spark is looking really on form in just his laning. Sometimes a few mistakes are made by the Broad bot lane, but so far, in this game, they're ahead of one of our better bot lanes we've seen so far in playoffs. Great sign. Stride Breaker now finished for Nocturne as well. So on the next ultimate, he's going to slow everyone, hopefully get that shockwave on top. And whoever's going to be the target has got to be careful. You suspect it's going to be Chrisberg, but it could be Ketsuo. could be Machu. No matter what, I think you're looking at a one-shot member of Venomcrest. Let's see if they can clean the fight up afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, this is such an interesting game to look at. You know, when we've seen Venomcrest in playoffs, it has been the Chrisberg show. This time around, the other members of Venomcrest are really going to have to start stepping up. Refresh, Ketzer, Phrase. It's on them. And speaking of, Ketzer just drops a solo kill in the mid lane and the counter matchup as well.
Yeah, we picked this Orianna into the Aurora, and we said, okay, you want to take that first pick, we're going to take one of QQR's better champions, then we're going to take the Nocturne, we can lay it all on top, it's going to be great. QQR's not looking that good in this mid matchup, you know. He has been forced to burn Flash a couple times, he's now died twice, he still had the combo, so you always have that available. But Ketzo showing up is crucial for Venomcrest to stay in this game, because their main carry, their main man Kurtzberg, he's not having a great time of it. As you said, someone's got to step up. Let's see if King Julian himself can make it happen for Venomcrest in their hour of need.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's a good start. He is just about equalizing that CS deficit he had before, plus that extra kill he just claimed. And good to see. I feel like in playoffs, Ketsuo has gotten the short end of the straw in some of his mid lane matchups, but this time against a very studied and strong mid laner in the UKR, he manages to get a solo kill.
And it's not just about the solo kill, it's about the fact, hold on a second, okay, never mind, I'm not going to play off that bubble. Phrase is here, actually, I'm going to hold my point for a second, because we'll see if they want to do anything. It should just be like ships in the night, really. It shouldn't be a play, but Nocturne is around for this dragon as well. So you imagine this next play is a straight. But Phrase, he's dancing at the moment, he's behind in this jungle matchup, and he's now trying to force. And he feels really, really bad about leaving the Drake, but he kind of has to go and do something. There's no camps up for him, but he wants to make a play, and nothing's coming from this.
Yeah, the paranoia is being used. It's not followed up with the shockwave combo, but it doesn't need to, because the Corky does enough damage. Orbit's going to go onto a killing spree. Cyclone on two. Trace is trying to mow down some of the members of Broad and Friends, but QQR secures mid lane priority before his opponent. Orbit's going to stay alive off the back of some Nami sustain. And again, another side lane play being made by the jungler of Broad and Friends, and it's going to lead to them going 5 kills to 2.
Phrase read that play, but was in the wrong position, wasn't he? He kind of knew they were going to force something before the Drake, because it felt quite bad as the Orianna Nocturne just allowing teams to group in a way that would deny the combo to go off. So you assumed the Nocturne would make the play kind of just a bit before they would force the objective. Phrase, he didn't cover his bot lane, he was too busy dancing rivers. QQ, he's caught out here. One shot.
God.
The damage!
I mean, there was an assist, but like that was practically a solo kill.
And now, look at this Drake here, Venomcrest. They should be able to force this. They're now up a member. There's no Orianna, although the combo is not available. So if you are Broad, I think you just have to give this up and take the CS and be happy that you're not losing more.
Yeah, I mean, Ketzer is really running the map from the mid lane, doing so much work on the Aurora. And never mind, this was first picked. This must have been something that they had been practicing in preparation for this game, because, my God, he looks so different on this Aurora pick.
He looks so comfortable in this matchup. Again, up against QQR, we say it again, time and time again. Story mid laner in the UK, huge champ who knows his matchups. Ketzer's just getting the better of him. He's showing up today. Now with QQR falling to 0-3, it isn't a problem again, because the main damage can still come from the Nocturne, can still come from the Corky, but now all your eggs are in that port basket in terms of kills. And if you look at the side of Venomcrest, the player that's stepping up is someone that is going to be quite hard to sort of catch with, you know, the Between Worlds and the Spirit Hopper and things. The Realm Hopper or whatever it's called now. And Ketsuo, man, we were quite critical of him. We were critical of him recently about, you know, his performance against Absolved. He got solo killed by Emil a few times. Performance against Rise, he didn't have the best time in all those lanes. Hold on, are they going to go?
Oh, yeah, Nocturne Orianna. Yeah, outplay this one, buddy. No, there's not much to do around that one. You kind of just have to eat it in the face. I think, recognize my boy in the mid lane needs some help out here. So, yeah, unfortunate Ketsuo.
Yeah, maybe didn't respect that as much, but look at the dive coming through.
Gosh, yeah, Tidal Wave gonna get sidestepped. Chrisberg, he's gonna get his Lulu, keep him alive. But I mean, more on this Chrisberg suffering in the early game. I'm curious to see how that all unfolds. A Rift Tower with contest, and I guess they'll all just back off. But yeah, pretty solid early game from Broad and Friends. There's been some hiccups towards the mid side, but I mean, look at the side lane control that they have.
Yeah, they're going to get this turret in bot lane as well, which is absolutely massive in the 2v2 featured matchup. Well, it's looking at the moment like the Rob bot lane are winning it.
Oh, they're not just winning it, they're absolutely scrolling past this bot lane head-to-head.
I was just going to bring up as well that gold, the shutdown, or the gold for Ketsuo did go onto QQR, so that's good to see that Warp doesn't get another kill in the pocket, so hold on, keep going, wait a second. Respect the damage your opponent does. As Zeta's caught, hold on, this has gone from chaos here, absolute chaos.
I'm not quite sure what Zeta was fishing for, unintended, but will survive, has to use flash and heal. I guess there's no immediate objective towards the bot side for now, so I have a warning sign for Zeta that he does need to be careful on these enchanters when going for vision.
He is mostly a tank engage kind of player, right? And maybe he thought he was a bit tanky, and he is walking through there through river. They're going. Fraser's going to, make a play onto you because Venomcrest still feel pressured because they are still down 3k gold, right? They're still down in gold. They only really have one strong member who we just saw get eviscerated by Orion and Nocturne, who can easily be a target of that combo again and again. And so they're just going to force. So let's make sure here, Brod, that we don't make the same kind of sneaky mid-game mistakes, past 15, 18 minutes-ish that we've made in the past. Let's try and finish this out cleanly. Let's make sure we play around our ultimates. Let's make sure we play around how strong our Corki is, how strong our Nocturne is. They're playing for this Herald right now. If you are Venomcrest, I think unless you've got 5 members here, it is a very, very scary contest. There is a TP available for QQR here. Ketsuo's going to have to cancel it or move earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm seeing on the health bars and the team frames that QQR did just take a big chunk of damage from the Aurora, but that objective just belongs to Brod and friends. I mean, we take a look at the mid lane, and obviously Ketsuo's done a great job, but between bot lane and top lane, Akaz has full control of that Cho'Gath. Corki and Nami has been just easily 2v2 in the Yunara Lulu, so I mean, when plays are happening around these players, there's nothing Venomcrest can really do.
Not at the moment, again, and I'll say I said it about 10 minutes ago. I don't know how I feel. Cho'Gath, man, this champion can get very, very tanky, and I feel like Brod have made this mistake in the past where they've drafted comps that look very good early on, and then eventually they don't have the damage to get through the Cho. And again, they need to start making sure that Orianna is out on the map, not just collecting sideways. When you're playing this Orianna Nocturne, you want to make sure that every ultimate is either a confirmed kill or winning you an objective. And right now, let's look at this dragon in the next 4 minutes. Let's see if they bother with that combo there, because I feel like they're just not really... Only once have they used it to its full effectiveness. As Cho'Gath, he's getting this turret top. He could be under... He's threatening Sion now, despite being down in CS. So this winning matchup in top is now looking worse and worse for Brod.
I'm sorry. That can't be balanced. Like, there was no minion in the way. Why is he just obliterated a turret for absolutely no reason? Content or what? Like, can't be balanced. No?
Demolish is a good rune, I think.
Yeah, it's so good. That's fair. At least he's a split pusher, right? Oh wait, he's not.
Well, anyway, we're going to see a fight here. I think we're going to see a 5v5 around this dragon. Yeah. It's Orianna Nocturne time, baby.
They do have the Orianna Nocturne. Block shockwave used early. What the hell was that, buddy? Were you trying to go for a Malphite ultimate because you just got blown off? Frishmoto is going to be the one available to DPS, but it's so far behind. Braid's trying to get in there on top of Onslaught. Gone defensive. Refresh still standing in the front line. Gets a rupture down.
Braid's doing
that Corki, but Braid thinking he's got a Tryndamere to use. Sadly, he's playing Wukong, so he cannot do that indeed. Gets blown off, and Brod and friends in what feels like a handshake team fight, where the kind of kills were just gifted to them on a silver platter, will get their second dragon of the game.
I do really like what Brod did there, and that as soon as Ketsuo went in, they pulled back. Akaz held the line against 4 members. They immediately blew up Ketsuo, and then honestly, I think Frey's going in there was more to try and get his teammates out, but I feel they could have left at any time. We do see a bit of a concern there. The Cho'Gath did tank a lot of damage, but hold on a second. Ketsuo is TPing for this. There's already another fight happening.
Oh no, he doesn't quite get the Artican steal. He was going for. I respect what Ketsuo is doing. He's pushing himself, but like that. That was pretty bad.
Yeah, he TP's in there. They don't get it. They do get this bottom turret, and you're going to see it again. Oh, never mind. It was too graphic. We don't want to show it on stream. The turret is The turret's gone. No, this game, it's kind of opened up a little bit in the sense that now with these turrets down, we're able to see them go for these kind of plays here at Broad. So they did push forward. They looked for an Orianna Nocturne. They didn't really actually use the Nocturne ultimate. They just managed to land a sort of raw shockwave onto 2. But either way, they managed to pick up these kills. Still concerns over tank killing damage, as now they're going to be opening up mid lane. They're pushing the Herald down mid, which I think might be a little bit of a waste, to be honest. Just because... Are they going to run it? They're going to run it top lane. Okay, they're not going to try and get that tier 2 in mid. Just going to be looking to make a play on top, get a bit more of that standing gold that's out on the map potentially. Or just go top lane anyway, not even bother hitting the turret, I guess. Hold on. Is he going to hit? I never. He missed. And he didn't get it quite in time. It's going to die to the turret. They're not going to get the turret at the end. Ketso is going to pick up the 25, 50 gold, whatever it is for that Herald. And nothing's going to come. 25, there you go. Anyway. We're now back in what should be quite a quiet state unless we see members of Venomcrest really trying to force, because if you are Broad and friends, you're playing around your Orianna Nocturne and looking for a good combo, so if your Nocturne's farming the Krugs, he's not going to be looking for that. So we should be seeing Broad slow it down a bit, get the gold on that, there you go, top standing gold's gone. Get a bit more gold in their pockets, get a bit more of the item completion, get that Mirror Mana completed into the get that completed, as well as get a few more items online, maybe for Nocturne, and then take another fight around the next objective. It is still 2 minutes 50 to Dragon and 2 minutes to Baron, so not much going on. I think we should be looking at Venomcrest here to see if they could make a play. This is a bit of a concern for the draft. We brought it up in the about the Broad draft, right? So we said, well, what about the Rakan? We don't want Nocturne going in by himself, etc., etc. But when I then look at the side of Venomcrest, it's got to be Ketsuo making a play. It's got to be a Rupture somehow landing, or it's got to be Wukong being primary engage. And all of those things aren't really preferred. You'd prefer to have, if you're the Wukong, a Rakan or someone else with you who can engage for you, so you don't have to sort of use your clone to get into a fight. So if you're both these teams are now in a state where the reason why the fights look so messy and so crazy is because they have combos to play for, but neither of them really have that sort of go button. They don't have a Leona or a Rel or a Nautilus. True. They don't have any of those things to really start something or try and get a pick. They've got to hope that someone mispositions, and at this stage in the tournament, we're seeing less and less of those players making those kind of mistakes, getting caught out and things like this.
I mean, I do think Wukong engage as primary engage isn't the worst, but when you factor in how behind he is this game, I mean, you kind of saw there he was low, but he does take a lot of damage if he is to just jump in head first. So there's a big risk with Phrase being that primary engage, and I do agree. I think, I mean, less so Broad and Friends because they do have Orianna Nocturne, but Venomcrest especially, they are really crying out for that easy go button, which I mean, as you said, they are definitely missing.
I think when I say about Wukong, I mean more like he doesn't like having to burn his clone aggressively. A lot of the time, you prefer, you know, using, you know, I keep forgetting ability names these days. I'm getting too old. You want to E in, and then you want to clone back out again, and then use the clone to then cover space with your Cyclone. However, if you're now having to go in, you're often having to use both those abilities moving forward. And as you said, he's very far behind. In a game where there is a decent amount of damage to just take him down if he shows his face off of that invisibility. And that is now a worry, because who's going to start making the plays? It is going to have to come down to some moments of magic, maybe burning the flash first to be able to then get out again, or something like this. Being able to survive is going to be very, very hard for the playmakers of Venomcrest. Whereas if you're Broads, either you're going to win the fight off an Orianna Nocturne, or every one of your team's going to die. And here they're going! Oh, he's gone!
Whoa, okay. There's no casts in there, to be honest, because two people just disintegrated from the map. I do believe this should just be a free Baron with the jungler and support dead. What the hell happened there? We were talking about Wukong and like how he's like risky as first engage. I think if you blow off, then yeah. I see. You know what, Rob? I see your point.
What I can't believe is that we were saying about mispositioning. Really, they're the two, you know, the support jungler Venomcrest, they make a huge mistake. The Venomcrest are going to have to make a 3 versus 5 happen somewhere. Look at Ketsuo's positioning. He's going to try and make a play.
Yeah, he does get an initial combo onto Satan. Doesn't finish him off because of the heal. Charge back in the Between Worlds. Dragon was secured by the Feast of Refresh, but now they have to get out. And you're wondering what in God's name are they going to do to be able to do that? And Chrisberg already gone. Refresh might be able to escape. Ketsuo does his special move and TP's out, but I mean, I think you're happy with that Dragon, but there is a Baron and they do need to survive this next phase of attack.
Yeah, and now you're going to see here, when you've got this Nocturne, the other problem, not just the Ori Nocturne, is that playing on sides gets increasingly more difficult if you get sort of chokehold, you know, they get chokehold on the map. Nocturne can just play for sides off of mid with his ultimate, and then, well, what are you doing? You know, you end up in this sort of the 2v1 situations that you can't fight you out of. Only really Refresh is tanky enough at this point in time to actually play on sides, and he doesn't really not want to be with his team as the main front line, you know, right? And so, man, I think Venomcrest, they just make mispositioned slightly. There wasn't other members in support for their jungler jungler support. They get caught out. The Baron goes over. They're now going to have this one-fall kind of setup with the Orianna now going to the bot lane. Nocturne should then be hovering with the Orianna as well to look to make a play anywhere. They should look to try and one-shot someone. It could be the Lulu, could be Crispo, who's doing a bit of damage, but it's going to take a long time to get through Sion. And if you're Broad, you just strangle them out of the map. Insert that chokehold, get those turrets, use that Baron effectively to deny the gold, and then just look for one big play and the game is over. This is Brod's game to lose now, Savonix. Massive.
I mean, it's been such an impressive game from Brod and friends, to be fair. Like, the only deaths have finally come from QQR. Two of them were a solo kill, and they're going for another Nocturne Orianna combo. Even with the Lulu ultimate, Crispo cannot survive for a second. Fraze is going to come in with a Cyclone onto QQR, and he gets eliminated off the back of Ketsuo. And it's Hackers playing frontline. Forth is just dealing with Fraze in his own backline, and the jungle versus jungle 1v1 gets won by the Brod and Friends jungler. Hackers still causing havoc in the backline of Venomcrest, and they're just going to use this Baron minion wave to push through that minion, that inhibitor in the mid lane. Raising Crispo down. That's two inhibs actually, both in mid and bot lane. I feel like this game might not have much in it.
They don't have another go button here, Brod, so they are going to get the two inhibs back off. It will give a little bit of gold over to the side of Venomcrest, but we see there exactly how they want to play. They end up just setting up on two lanes of 1-4, get the Sion on side, and then have your Orianna play with the Nocturne, look for a mispositioned, a squishy, one-shot them, go on to the next. And you saw how much damage, right? It went through Lulu ultimate. It's absolutely insane. You've got a fed Nocturne and Orianna that's now got a couple items online, is just happy to sit back and let it be the poor Nocturne show. Really, really impressive. You're saying from Brod, really impressive game where there was a few little hiccups, but let's be honest, it's 4-13. It's a 12k gold lead. It's pretty much been all Brod all the way. Even when we were having these issues, they were still 2k gold up. Really impressive. The guys in blue and yellow. If this is what we're seeing from them now, are they going to be ramping up? We know how good they are on land. Could they be a threat to the guys waiting in the finals?
Okay, we'll wait and see. I mean, this all started off really from that second clear of both the junglers. That recall stopped by Akaz onto Fraze really set the tone for this game. I feel like ever since then, ever since Pulp has had tempo onto Fraze, he hasn't dropped it for a second, and he's just been a bit of a hero for his team really on the Nocturne.
Yeah, and this is often what we see from Pulp. Either he has some very hard games or some very, very, very good games, and this has been a very, very good game so far. Refresh, Joyce exile half HP, Army Wave. It's the death nails, isn't it? Venomcrest, they're trying as they must, but it's going to be so hard to be able to bring this game back, Savonix.
It's so difficult, especially with minions crashing into that bot side, mid lane as well. Coming in now, that's just going to open up a push towards the top part of the map. I think the Baron timers have gone out now, so alleviates some amount of pressure, but you just saw there in that quick picture, Refresh, he's a tank, but he really gets shredded quickly. Akaz is able to tank a lot more at this current moment.
Oh my god,
QQR almost gets imploded. Has to flash defensively whilst the Paranoid gets dropped, and they can't tag a Nocturne Orianna combo onto anyone. Fraze not being able to do much with Akaz. Akaz is just standing in front of his enemies and laughing in their face, as he is just able to slowly walk away. It does stop the push. Venomcrest buy themselves some time, but there's a Dragon spawning in 20 seconds. I'm wondering, can they even exit the base to contest?
It's going to be very, very difficult. They're going to have to get this bot wave pushed up as quickly as possible. I think they might just be giving it. Fraze is going to take a long time to get there anyway. I want to see them, if they are going to go for it, go as 5, actually, because I think that if you go as 1 and give Fraze over, then the Orianna Nocturne combo's back up again, and then you lose another one, and you just sort of end up having that kind of trickle effect. I think they're just giving it over someone next. I think they know that they can't contest this. What, again, Brod, they've... Oh, it's a leash. Again, they've not leashed it. It's looking pretty damn good. And let's see if they can sort of continue this. They still have to end this game. This is a concern, but they are so far ahead in gold. 12k, 11.6, those kind of numbers. Let's just see if they can get one more catch and end the game cleanly, because that is one thing that's been missing from Rod a little bit as they're going for it. Oh, yeah.
My lord, that's a massive amount of damage just chopped onto Pressburg. Oh, flashes defensively perfectly in time to get away from any threats. Ketsuo jumps forward. It's only a sign, not doing anything to that tacky health bar of Akers as he flashes forward, gets a slow to Mateu. Knock up to follow. Oh, it's Spark who drops a phosphorus bomb onto that Lulu and eliminates him from the map. He's got nothing left to answer for. A triple kill for Spark in this opening game. The head-to-head has been so one-sided as we've discussed. As Brod and Friends, they're just stat padding at this point in time. Refresh is just food for this Brod and Friends roster. They're going to go for the end of the game. And this was so one-sided from the get-go. I doubt there was even a dog in this fight. A dominant game one to start the series.
What a game from Brod. I had concerns because Broad sometimes in some moments they don't show up. They do struggle. And today, this game one, absolutely amazing. We'll give props to Ketsuo here for looking pretty good in the mid matchup. He did show up early on in this game, but once that Orion Nocturne comes online, he didn't have anywhere to go. He couldn't play the fights. And I now have concerns for Venomcrest. I have concerns about their draft. The Lulu's gone for Machi. That's one of his best picks. I have, Yunara, which many people value quite highly. Toro, again, discussed it. My biggest concern is Refresh. I want the Desk to think about this, because Refresh used to be a carry player. He's moved over to these tanks, but the Scion's gone now. So now has the Cho'Gath. He's only really got something like the Ornn, and then he's back to his Olaf, Jax, Camille kind of ways. This series, if it goes to 3 games, I'll be interested to see what Venomcrest can bring out in that game 3. But right now, Brod, they're in the driver's seat. Predictions looking good.
Yeah, looks good. But I mean, for Venomcrest, some shining lights. Ketsuo did look strong. We'll leave it to the rest of the desk to break it down. So, take it away, boys.
Thank you very much, Sovonix and Rob, doing a smashing job on the cast as always. And yeah, I think that we sort of ended off with the throw for the cast as it kind of where we need to start here. Ketsuo looked good for Venomcrest, but Torok, not much else did.
No, Venomcrest got off to a very poor start in this game. The one thing that they really didn't need to happen happened, which is Nocturne landing a double kill before 6. So he was extremely accelerated before the point where he really actually should have started playing the game. And it really just got worse for them from there. There was a really nice bit of synergy from the side of Brod and Friends to just slowly accelerate through this Nocturne and through their bot lane. And of course, if Nami's getting Imperial Mandate very early on, Nocturne's getting Stride Break very on, AD carries, they're not having a nice time.
No, not a nice time at all, Bandit. But we mentioned his name. Like, let's just go back to it quickly. Ketsuo did have a few moments that game where you're thinking maybe there is the opportunity for him to do something here, but it never really felt like there was a proper chance for him to exert himself on the game.
Yeah, and I think even though he had the opportunity, the team was just kind of torn in these 2 directions of either trying to set up a flank themselves, like we saw one big team fight where Ketsuo did get on the back line, but there's just no follow-up because that Nocturne is in your face. It's so hard to follow up in the paranoia, in the darkness, and I think no coach in the world is going to make up for that.
Yeah, it felt like Corp's ability to influence this game was unlimited, and Tarak, I think that this Nocturne getting off the ground was really important for this game. You mentioned the early kills to accelerate him, but surely it wasn't just, oh, I get a double at 5.5 minutes and then I'm set for the game.
In fairness, in some of these competitive games, especially when they're really slow, it kind of is. You're kind of, if you're Pulp in that situation, you're kind of rubbing your hands. You're like, okay, I'm going back to the bank with some money. Like everything's looking up in Pulp land, right? And I mean, it really did. The thing is it's really difficult to play, for example, in this game, if you're playing like Wukong Aurora, when Nocturne can just so simply one-shot you at any given point. Even if Orianna's behind, Orianna's just passing the assist with her ult, as we saw in mid. Even though QQR was very far behind, as soon as Nocturne decided, you know what, it's time to go and get a kill on the enemy mid laner, he shows up, Orianna presses ult, it does 100 damage, doesn't matter, Nocturne's done the other 90% of his health bar, right? And this is the type of situation that, when you're playing as Aurora in these types of games, it's really useful for people who like to play this sort of flanking style as well. It's really difficult versus Nocturne, because Nocturne can just turn around and push you out of your flank position. Yes, it might cost him his ult, but if he kills you or pushes you out the flank, they probably win the fight anyway. And then you have that really difficult sort of juggle of like, do I stand with my team and I can't really get a good angle, or do I go on the flank but then, you know, if I die, it's like game over.
You're just choosing which way to lose, aren't you?
Yeah,
End of the day-
it really does get to that point.
End of the day, we had one fear for Broad, and it was like, what if Nocturne gets
Yeah, it's
stuck
Nocturne.
in too far? But you know what's great about that? When you're just that far ahead, you just 1v4. And
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if your team can follow up, because guys, don't easy
Oh
quadra.
no, more enemies! Oh god! Oh, this is awful. What do I do with my gold lead? Oh, brilliant! I murdered them all. Another lane that we were looking at before this series begun was that bottom lane, Chrisberg and Spark and Bandit. I kind of want to come to you on this, but I really felt like I felt like I just got a voice in my ear telling me to go to break. So
Another
we will
queer
do that.
voice being silenced. It is not okay.
Yeah. Get this man off the screen right now. Get rid of him. We'll see you in a few. Ooh, right. Thank you, everybody. Welcome back. We've been having some ideas about what Venomcrest could change, potentially, for the next game in this series. I think some of those ideas we're going to be sharing with you. Some of those are going to remain locked within the minds of those who conjured them. Anyway, gentlemen, Venomcrest 0, Brod and Friends 1. Supremely clean game from the Brods, Torok. For Venomcrest, they need to bounce back. They need to readapt. They've only got one shot to do it. Best of 3. What should they be focusing towards in this next game?
Well, I mean, very simply, I think they need to go back to the drawing board. You know, the coach position really has not worked out for them. I think Unlimited should step away from the team now and just let the players get on with it. Because, you know, Venomcrest, they've been on a really good run up until this point. And we saw a team today that's in shambles. You know, across the board, everything's going wrong. Clearly, the training ground practice, it's a Ten Hag situation, and they should have made the decision earlier. You shouldn't have even made it to game day. So it's time to make the decision now. Management should step in, and let's get Venomcrest, you know, back on track.
Yeah, you know, maybe the way of the
Yamamoto
Gogo.
No, not that! Not that, dude. We can't let that go unchallenged on the broadcast.
No, I think he's right. I think he's right, man. He's watched. It's
Oh, damn it! Damn you all!
the Copenhagen cut. No, that's the.
No. Right.
I think jokes
production,
aside.
yes. The graphic, yes. Production now, please. I don't want to look at these guys anymore. They're complete ruffians and rascals. Let's look at the scoreboard from that last game. Unfortunately, the names are the wrong way around, but we can all work it out because Spark definitely did not go 0-1-5, but he also didn't go 1-0-7.
Yeah, I suppose in terms of other things to change middle,
games
Fresh
has
could try
happened.
getting involved, couldn't he? You know, he could get at least like 1% kill participation.
Yeah,
0-4-0.
that would have been nice.
Be a move in the right direction, wouldn't it?
I don't think these stats are correct.
No, but I think if memory serves me right, I think we can clearly say that Katsuo did get a bit of a lead, and just nothing happened too much with it. I mean, at the end of the game, a single Aurora combo didn't even chew through the shield of the Scion here. And it doesn't feel like there was a big pivotal turning point in the game. It felt like 20 minutes of inactivity, the game slowly slipping out of their hands, and then when push came to shove and they were confronted whilst being 3k gold down, they could not rally behind a single player and push a clear game plan. They had a clear game plan in draft, they could not execute it on the Rift. What is there to change? The game plan or the Rift?
It's not going to be the Rift, is it, Bandit?
Exactly, it's got to be the game plan.
Yeah, it's got to be the game plan. All right.
You caught on quick, Middlecott.
See, where I feel like we've come back after this game and there's been a switch up in the goofiness levels of this desk. I don't know if I'm here for it or not, but we'll keep on rolling through. But yeah, if we're talking about what Venomcrest need to change, who Venomcrest need to change, apparently, because that's the direction we're going down. What about for Brod? What was the stuff that really, really worked for them in that last game that they should try and maintain and keep as a core part going forward?
Keep driving through Pulp, right? I mean, I think Pulp had a really good game. He's looking sharp. They did 3 jungle bans for a reason. Fraze looked really uncomfortable. I don't think he ever found himself really in the game at all. And so, the more you can use that sort of jungle advantage in your favor, I think it'll take them pretty far in the series. Of course, there's no way of guaranteeing that. I mean, Nocturne did take a little bit of a path to get ahead last game. It wasn't necessarily like the game was super even. He managed to find quite a big advantage early on. But I think if you can put Pulp in a good matchup, make sure he's happy, drive through that bot lane, it seems like the game plan's working. And QQR just needs to rein it in a little bit. Just take a chill pill.
Chill out, relax. Yeah. Bandit, do you think that with that driving through Pop specifically, it needs to go towards the bot lane? Because we did see Spark really sort of set off. Or do you think that he's got a bit more freedom in how he chooses to channel his energy?
I think you really got to keep hammering on that bottom lane, because it's not only Spark that you're getting ahead. You're shutting down Chrisberg. And I think we talked about it in the pre-show, where if Fraze can get a real grip on the game, he can really choke you out and your carries can never reach that height you want them to reach. But that just never happened. Instead, he got blown up left and right. Chrisberg got never into it, and that 1,000 damage per minute seemed very, very far away this game.
It's actually a really important point that Bandit brings up, because I mean, at least if we take a look at the rest of the Venomcrest team, I think if bot lane is not ahead on Venomcrest, there's a high chance they just can't get into the game. Chrisberg is such like a rock. Of course, he'll stay in it, he'll farm and all the rest of it. But it's much harder to dictate where you want to play and where you want to fight when sort of your main carry is not actually present. All right, so at least from the side of Venomcrest, they really want to make sure their bot lane is stable, so Chrisberg can be pushing fights in the right direction and hopefully guiding FaZe, Ketsuo, and those around him to take the fights he wants.
And I guess you do end up into a little bit of a dilemma there, where if FaZe is overprotecting bot side, then maybe he doesn't have the ability to impact other lanes as much and ensure that those don't become too volatile. I think that we saw obviously a tank v tank matchup in the top lane, but we all know that both of these players, Refresh and Akers, can go on to stuff which is a little bit more aggressive, stuff like Jax's and Camille's. As we jump into Champion Select for the second game, Brod and Friends continuing with those jungle-focused bans towards FaZe, and we're still seeing that Gragas being taken off the board. Brod and Friends not being allowed to pick that one up.
I mean, I'm already smiling because I see Udyr locked in, so the special's coming out. What is interesting though is whether this was prepared for. I assume it was. I'm looking forward to seeing what the response is, because Udyr being picked like this can get really punished. It's not that he can get taken out of the game per se, but the champ does have some pretty clear weaknesses. He's not as strong as he once was, so I'm expecting, from the side of Brod and Friends to have like a lot of movement, a lot of ability to sort of space him, kite him around. For the rest of their comp, I mean, the Lucian already kind of suggests that, although I think there are better picks into Udyr. And I guess let's see how it goes.
And it's a little tricky, because what are you going to put next to the Lucian here? Because Brom's taken off the board. Nami is into the depths as well. What are we going to put next to this that will take it to the next height? Like, I feel like what's left, Lulu is gone. Milio is kind of a risky one to just put out there already. So if you're not careful, your support pool might get banned out if you don't pick it right now. And if you do pick it right now, then you're leaving yourself up quite vulnerable to be counterpicked again.
You don't really want that, especially considering how poorly the last bot lane went for you. Is going to be the Poppy picked up here actually for the Brod and Friends, so that could be going into Zeta's hand, or we could be seeing some real interesting shenanigans with the Udyr moving around and the Poppy slotting into the jungle.
I suppose there is that. I mean, in theory, the Lucian could also move around as well, because if you were looking for an AP jungler from the side of Brod, Lucian can always go mid. So, you don't necessarily have to think of him as a bot lane champ. I'm not saying it's entirely optimal, but it could be an option. I think with Akali being locked in, it probably isn't anymore. But, before that point, it could have been something.
Yeah, it was cooking for a little bit, but I think the real show stealer here, beside the Akali, I think the Poppy pick really shuts down both the Lucian and the Jax. Gonna make it so difficult to either engage or get out of there. And oh man, I feel like we're just 2 picks in, and it already feels like we're scrambling for the right picks on the side of Venomcrest here. So the drafting, even though we were quite happy with what we were seeing in game 1, I think Brod and Friends are really capitalizing right now.
Yeah, I will always say though, whenever I see an Ivan paired up with a melee bruiser top laner, I feel like there's potential for stuff to go wrong, because that is such a classic pairing. If we're looking into the next phase of Champion Select here, Torok, what are both sides really looking for to round out their compositions in your eyes?
Yeah, so I mean, it's quite tricky for Brod, because the thing is they don't have a way to really deal with Akali. Their Jax, I mean, yes, she can push through Poppy eventually, but it's not the easiest thing to do in the world. It's not an easy matchup into Udyr either. So this Jax feels very, very out of place versus all 3 champs, and that's pretty scary. You really have to try and find some kind of miracle champ on 4-5 that can tie this all together. And I don't know what it looks like. It would have to be something like Veigar ADC or something a bit, out there. And I'm not saying they can play that, but that would be the type of champ they'd actually need to sort of glue this all together. The other thing they could, of course, try and do is go down like a Rengar Ivan route or something like that. Like there are like interesting draft avenues they could explore, but that's really going into a lot of cooking. The suggestion then would be, of course, put Ivan Rengar bot, and then find like an AP jungle champ. And a lot of that is quite tricky to imagine happening. So at least in terms of draft edge, I think Venomcrest is coming off super well. All they've got to do is just react appropriately and continue with the same theme of comp they're going for, which is like this mid-range skirmish comp. Way is
Can
not a
we
bad not a bad attempt. It's not
can we
Veigar,
get
but it's not
confirmed,
too
by the
bad.
way, that Venomcrest is indeed red side?
So Venomcrest are red side.
Okay, cool.
Oh, and the Lucian with the
Yeah,
Lucian
yeah.
Jack
So,
Sivent draft?
yeah, so the player
Okay.
names are the wrong way around. So the
Oh,
team
okay.
names are locked in. It's the player names that are swapped. So yeah, all of the nice stuff that you were saying about what a
The other
friends,
side, then.
The other side. We'll make it work. We'll make it work. But yes, the Hui sort of a decent addition to this composition, and then the rail locked in here for Rod and Friends, I think, just gives you a little bit more of that AOE engaged that you were kind of lacking on this team comp.
It feels like a complete night and day in draft what we were seeing before, where in game one I was quite confident in the coherency of the composition that Venomcrest had drafted for themselves. Right now it feels more like a more ragtag gang of of champions grouping together, and I'm very curious with this last pick coming in because Rel Sivir is just an absolute bastion of a bot lane.
Just sort of stands there, runs at you, and gets things started. Which, when you've got champions like the Udyr and the Akali who can
Exactly.
have issues getting into fights, maybe that's what you want. And Venomcrest now, they've got their support save for the last pick, so Matthew is going to be able to counter with something here. And yeah, I think the Renata, I think it brings a bit of control to the team fights, and you're not against anything that is incredibly high range. So harder for Brod and Friends to work around it. How are we feeling about the draft, gents?
Look, I can't
It's
knock it in the sense of like the Renata was the best R5 they could probably come up with.
Yeah.
I think they needed something that was very lane focused. They need to try and build like an early advantage, try and tease out a mistake. Because the longer this game goes, the trickier it's going to get. So hopefully by playing for that early advantage, you never know, Sivir Rel could end up making a mistake. You could end up in a position where actually your bot lane manages to snowball quite significantly. You can start playing for Soul. There's a couple of like interesting dynamics that can stem from this if the bot lane priority is used very well, but it's a very big if. I think one composition is far more cohesive than the other. I would much rather be playing on the side of Rod and Friends.
And just once again, they've really put up the pressure on Chrisberg again by getting the
Yeah.
Akali not in the hands of Pop, but QQR putting on the pressure on those carries. And I feel like it's going to be very tricky to be both taking care of your carries in the backline while they're getting pressured from the way downtown, whilst also having to deal with the barrage of spinning blades that Sivir and a jogging Udyr coming at your faces. So there's a lot of threats on the side of Brod and Friends, and they all seem to complement each other.
How menacingly is this Udyr jogging at you?
I mean, I'd be wearing my brown pants. That's all I'm saying.
Right. Okay. Great. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I really appreciate that, Bandit. That's some high-level
You're welcome.
analysis. Yeah, brilliant. But yeah, I think broadly we've expanded on and espoused the way that these compositions work. I think that after that first game, we were generally, as a desk, leaning pretty heavily towards Brod and Friends, just in terms of the execution. And from the way that we're talking here, it doesn't sound like this draft has made us lose any of that faith that we've got in Brod and Friends.
No, not at all. I think the fact that they've got another pretty cohesive draft really helps them. That said, they managed to execute with probably a more difficult draft last game. So the fact that from our perspective, we're saying, well, actually it now looks more difficult for Venomcrest is a super good sign for them. But it's only a good sign. At the end of the day, it's only trying to stack the deck a little bit more in your favor. You've still got to go out there and play it. And this is really what we're waiting for, because I think if Venomcrest can raise their level just that little bit, then we actually might have a far more competitive game on our hands than game one.
Yeah, and I think if Brod and Friends do take this win as well, I think you are showing a lot of versatility in your team. The amount of compositions that you can play, that is surely leaving an impression on me at least, but also to any future opponents. It's going to be difficult to prepare for. We're not there just yet, but man, I think that the range of drafting that they've been showing has been really impressive.
I mean, we're not there yet, but it's the starter thing that sorts of creeps in these series as you can feel yourself progressing through. But you are not there yet. You can't think about that matchup against 5 IQ a little bit later, your focus has to be on this next game because, like we said at the top of the day, Venomcrest, this is a roster with quality. There is a reason that they have recovered from the pretty tumultuous start that they had at the beginning of the split to make it to where they are in the playoffs. These are some damn good players, and I think that at least for a lot of them, they'll be feeling like game one wasn't really a proper account of what they are capable of. And so as much as you can talk about momentum in a series, there is also that element of revanchism almost, where you get that urge from being defeated to rise up and prove yourself once again.
Yeah, and they do have the support staff around them to really rally them, to really keep their heads cool. There's just heaps of experience that cannot be underestimated. I think that we are seeing a tad bit more comfort coming through on the side of Venomcrest, and sometimes it's just that little push, that little bit of support and comfort that can push you over the edge once more.
Yes, it can. I'm going to be honest with you, gents. Oh, yeah, excellent. Threadercasters, brilliant. Yeah, let's do that. I was running out of things to say.
Don't worry. I've also run out of things to say because, gosh, Rob. Well, we also are in favor of the Broad and Friends draft. We pretty vocal about that. Why don't you tell the audience why?
Just more cohesive. I think. What a day! The desk gets hitting the points that need to be hit right here. The sorry, my brain is melting from what I'm seeing from the Venomcrest side. Sorry. I think the Broad draft is super cohesive. I like the takeaway from the Udyr. I like their bans as well. The Braum ban as well makes a lot of sense against Matthew. We know how much Chrisberg likes Lucian, and Matthew plays the Braum with it. We know the Lulu and the Nami are off the board, so it would only really be a Milio pairing possibly with that Lucian. In this game, we've seen a Lucian Renata, a very uncommon lane. And so I really like the sort of progression that we saw from Broad in this draft. The Akali as well. The Jax being taken early means that you punish with the Poppy, and the Akali can also play on side into the Jax later. It's a QQR special as well. He played it last time he was playing on Broad in playoffs a couple splits ago as well. He can play that champion very well. So I just like what Broad's brought out. Cohesive draft, win cons are there. And for Venomcrest, I think you also were saying it in the green room, at least behind the scenes in that draft. It feels like everything has to go right for them, right? It feels like Lucian has to be ahead. You need Jax to be winning this matchup in top lane. The Hui needs to be having a good time in mid. And you've got an Ivan that is a very odd jungler. He's not someone that is just sacrificing everything all the time. He still has to take that, his camps at the right times, and to see if FaZe has the experience on this champion. Because when I think of FaZe, I don't think of Ivan. I think of Nudu, Maokai, Wukong, maybe some J4. I don't think of Ivan. So does he know what he's doing within this game to make sure his lanes have that chance?
So, not to be ironic, but I feel like the win conditions of Venomcrest drafts are very limited. No, I think, no, I do agree. I think, when there was that bug with the names being on the wrong side, I saw the Udyr and I was straight up like, that's a FaZe champion, like, not the Ivan. Yeah, I do agree with you to some extent. I'm very impressed with Broad and Friends. We were both very vocal and opinionated that Poppy pick on B2 is just so huge for them. It cancels the Jax, the Lucian, even the Ivan queue. Like, this Poppy should go completely crazy this game.
The Poppy is an absolute mega pick, right? Even when you only see the two champions, because it's a great matchup in top. Theory, it's a flex, and then you've got it around the Lucian, who, if he gets fed, can try and dash forward. Poppy can kind of deny that. So I do really like. I assume it's going to be Akka's taking that up in top lane. I don't think it's going to be like an Udyr top Poppy jungle, though. Pauper's played Poppy jungle in the past. It's one of his better picks. Either way, the Poppy's really, really good. I just really like what Broad have done. Cohesive draft. They add the Sivir on the end. I find the Renata last pick, I think we also saying that, very, very odd. Just overall, I'm excited for Broad to show us what they can do with a more cohesive draft as well, because I think we saw great things from that last game, but we still had questions on when the drafts were taken, and maybe they were planning forward with the Nami pick. Maybe they were thinking, you're gonna go Lucian in game 2, so we're gonna add another ban that we've already won this game by R4, R5. We're just gonna throw as an extra ban for game 2, maybe. But either way, yeah. I think that Broad with a more cohesive draft, I want to see what they can do when they also maybe don't have I'd say the more lane dominant champions, I mean like Sivir Rel versus Lucian Renata, there can be things that Lucian Renata do here. It's not a Corki who is so good at just taking that damage in the bot lane. I want to see what Brod can do when they've got maybe a Sivir that she's a wave clear machine, but she's not taking the 2v2s as much.
Yeah, it's definitely worth mentioning as well. Like, whilst Fraze isn't on necessarily champion we're used to seeing him on, we've got Chrisberg on Lucian, we've got Refresh on Jax. There are players playing their comfort picks. Mateus on an Enchanter, which we've seen him very comfortable on. So there are parts of this Venomcrest draft that aren't exactly awful. To see how they use it, and they are going for this level 1 invade. Good positioning from Spark to spot that out early. He can walk away without having to blow any summoners. But yeah, I mean, how should the early parts of this game go?
I mean, I almost feel I want to withhold comment after that last game where Fraze, I feel, went the complete opposite pathing that would have been beneficial for him to get his win condition online. But if you are the Ivan here, we'll see if he knows how to clear, if he's going to go for a sort of, I'd say a full clear, but the fastest clear on Ivan and try and be bot lane as quickly as possible. We'll see if he tries to go for an invade and try and steal camps away. I imagine not, now that he's been spotted out on that invade. I imagine he's just going to go for a clear straight down. They also have been spotted out on this red buff as well, so Porp has pretty much full information on the Ivan's early pathing. And if you're seeing it here as Porp, wow, he's pathing bot lane in the Chrisberg versus Spark matchup. What a surprise. He doesn't want to path for his Poppy that should be neutralized in the Jax. He's simply going to put Chrisberg in the dirt again and try and take Brod to the next round.
Yeah, I mean, I think Chrisberg, we've seen what he can do on this Lucian. I feel like Spark and Zeta did a fantastic job in that last game to shut Chrisberg and Mateu down. This time, I mean, what was it, 22 kills he got on that Lucian game in the first round of the lower bracket, so we'll see if Spark and Zeta can keep up that bot lane neutralization.
Yeah, and we all know how good Chrisberg is at this point, and especially his Lucian, I think, is a bit of a signature pick at this time. Refresh just trying to force the Poppy off the wave, not letting Akers get out of CS. And we're just seeing the Ivan doing the standard thing, sort of mark camps, path back, mark the camps down, path back up, make sure you use your little Q dash to get over the walls to speed up your clear, and then just start taking your camps. You avoid the Krugs the best you can. It's not really worth your time unless you have the ability just to mark it and walk away. He's just gonna be going around a bit. We'll see if the Udyr wants to try and contest on this bottom side on these camps, because he is now marking the Krugs, so no, they weren't marked on the when he smoked normally on that one. But he's going to go back down bot lane. The Udyr will have to see here if he wants to try and fight, or if he's just going to look for a play onto the bot lane. Azaka's taking a decent chunk of damage, but again, this is a neutralizing matchup in the top lane, where the Poppy also then comes into its own in the sort of later game team fights. It's going to deny Ivan's dash on the Q. It's going to deny the Jax dash in. It's going to deny the Lucian. So this Poppy here, just get through the lane, and eventually you're going to be able to deal with Jax pretty handedly, denying him being able to make plays in team fights. Hopefully, Brod again can weather the storm and get some items online, because that's kind of what they want. They want a standard, safe, chill game.
Yeah, and interesting to talk about this top lane matchup. I feel like, I'm going to pause my point there, because a gank is happening towards the bot side handshake. Onto Zeta, uses the crash land to get away, but a flash forward from Chrisberg. He's going to secure that first blood, and that Chrisberg Lucian is off to a good start.
And we saw this almost, it's not the inverse of last game. We're seeing here the Brod bot lane not really respects the sort of timer that the Ivan did have there, as well as the ability for Renata to cause a play kind of out of nowhere with the handshake. And Zeta fooling, going over to Chrisberg. This is what Venomcrest want. Are we going to see another Lucian masterclass? We'll wait and see. But it's a good start. It's a great start, in fact, for Venomcrest.
Yeah, really good start. I mean, take a look at it. The heal was used, flash was used, and they caught the first blood. Refresh, though. He's tanking too much tower damage. It did flash defensively. Yeah, well, gank happening towards the mid side. Ketsuo does have the summoner spells up, so should be okay. Will take a chunk of damage, but does have the TP if he needs to use it.
And this is another thing to mention. You've got Zeta back on an engaged champion, on a more roam-focused playmaker rather than the Nami. And so it'll be interesting to see how much he likes to get out on the map here, because he has come into his own in that support. When he first came into the support role, there were questions, I think, in those first few games. He's got better and better and better at playing the Rels and the Leonas and things like this, the Nautiluses. And so this is more comfort for him. So him showing up in mid lane there, not surprising. A bit concerning for Venomcrest that it wasn't cool that the Rel had died and now had a timer on mid. Maybe more opportunities opening up later? We'll have to see.
Yeah, we'll see. Ketsuo didn't blow anything. He held his course, so We'll be okay for now. Interesting rune choice in the mid lane as well. You see QQR gone for the electrocute. So I'm level 6. I expect he is going to want to play as aggressive as he possibly can. Like Akali is one of those champions where like you do really need to get ahead in the early game.
And maybe this is why the Renata pick came through, to try and deny, you know, the Akali, who should have a better time post 6 into the mage matchup, then also, you know, not being able to get, you know, the one-shot kill to whichever target Renata ends up bailouting. Maybe that was the thought process behind it. The Akali, though, plus the Poppy, plus the Uda, there's a lot of things of stopping that Renata ultimate causing problems, so I'd maybe expect to see in these team fights the bailout versus the QQR Akali. That's maybe the pressure point, maybe what could be won around it, but overall, the Akali's having a great time here, right, in mid. Usually you see her forced out early. She's not. So he's feeling good here, QQR. I'm trying to think the last time he played Akali. It might have been against Belfast 2 splits ago. I'd have to check my stats on that one, though.
Yeah, I mean, NG, I'm not going to lie, you did make a good point there. The Akali is actually ahead on CS to the Hwei, which, you know, you'd expect before level 6 not really to happen. That is kind of where Hwei has a lot more pressure in the lane once level 6 happens, and it's more difficult. I have to pause my thought here because, you know, Porp is chilling in that tri-bush, waiting for a refresh, get a little aggressive as he does appear around the corner. There is a steadfast presence, but refresh, oh, really nice patience, held that ward jump for that Poppy W to go down. It does also need Venomcrest, get access to the dragon on the other side of the map.
So right now, Venomcrest, it's not, you know, the best early game they could have possibly ever hoped for, but Chrisberg has a kill. They're getting an early objective. They're kind of keeping up in all the lanes. Yes, Akali's having a bit of a better time in mid, but generally is pretty close 5 CS in it. Venomcrest aren't in the worst spot here, and they are feeling pretty good about the overall state. You see the gold, it's only 400 lead for Venomcrest. That's basically the first blood, so let's be honest, it's not really anything in it. I have to see around sort of the next objective in 1 minute around those grubs, if they try and sort of get their bot lane back up, get this wave in, and then go for that wave split, that lane swap. As you see the damage here from QQR, he's able to put so much down. Yes, Ketsuo can answer, but once items come on board line, it's hard. He can't be ganked here, though.
Oh yeah, Frey's coming around, gonna get back Q onto QQR. QQR decides to go forward without having access to the Shroud. I think he might have just gotten away here, using that perfect execution, creating a Bermuda triangle to get himself out of there, sidestepping away from the Ivan Q. My word, even the daisies come out just to watch QQR glide his way out of there.
No TP available for the mid laner of Rob, but a bit of a smooth criminal kind of exit there, being able to get away from that gang. Damn. QQR being up, putting on his fancy feet. He didn't have the best game 1. He's showing a bit better in this game 2, but the wave is crashing, and so that CS lead that has been built up in mid is now kind of, you know, it's going now in the favor of Ketsuo. And we're seeing cover here in mid for Machu. They're swapping up maybe for these grubs. They're at least bringing their support. Chrisberg staying bot. It's going to be a 4v4 around these grubs of Onyx.
It is, and that perfect execution is on cooldown right now, so Venomcrest feel confident to start that up, but of course Ketsuo channeling the reset, so now is actually a very good time to start up those grubs. Ak is getting the push in top side, Ketsuo needing to get that reset in, so I think this top side objective does belong to Broad and Friends.
Yes, and so now it is a split of the first objective, you know, first 2 objectives on the map spawning, 1-on-1 for each. Sparks taking not the best time in this matchup, but Chrisberg going too far.
Yeah, Chrisberg going aggressive on the bottom side, assuming he had room to play here, but it's being chunked down. One more auto attack for the Civic Q. Does go wide, a Q flash forward from Zeta is going to pick up the kill. Mateo now in danger with the flash available, and just about to get away as the boomerang blade almost clips his hair and brings him down, but it's Chrisberg behind in the early game once again. He's dropping in a 2v2 on the bot side.
And he's going to drop the waves as well in bot lane. That's an absolute disaster. They were having a great showing in this bot matchup so far. Getting that first early kill off the gang. Keeping up keeping up in CS. Getting Chrisberg on his signature pick in a great spot. Fraser's here. But if you are Sivir, I think you can just leave. Never mind, you've been hit by the root from the Ivan.
Yeah, Chrisberg is around, a lot of damage down. Oh, Zeta deciding to go in. I think Chrisberg is going to want to make sure he picks up the wave, as he already lost quite a lot in that sequence, so no fighting here, just a reset for the bot side of Broad and Friends.
Bit of proxy in top as well. I think Broad, they're feeling pretty damn happy. They are going to end up losing this wave on bot. They're all resetting on bot side, so never mind. Akkas, they've called for the TP. Not going to lose the gold on those minions. The Poppy's going bot lane, sending that bot lane to the top to pick up the wave, which Refresh currently is. I'd have to actually see the minion state, but either freezing or slow pushing. Okay, it's now pushing in. This is really good from Brod. They're not dropping too much, even off of the fact that despite getting the kill, the wave was an odd spot. Big fans of how Brod are doing this, but Akers, he's got to be careful.
Yeah, it does have to be careful. He does have a lot of sustain, but he's going to be forced to use the flash. The handshake from Mateo almost tagged him. It will delay the reset of the Venomcrest bot lane as Spiraling Despair is used to poke out QQR. Not sure if that was for any reason, but yeah.
Just forcing him out. No TP available, but the Akali still should feel pretty happy about this lane state. There is a TP still available for Ketsuo, so maybe he's just trying to get in a situation where he can get an even reset off, then poke, and then look for another TP one. But Akers, he's under a lot of threat here. He does still have to keep his verdict.
Yeah, he does cancel the reset, and it's a cannon wave, so a great mini wave to dive with handshake from Mateo. Fraze is just tanking up the turret. Does use the keeper's verdict, but it's too late. Fraze is going to claim the kill off the back of a pretty clean tower dive.
Really clean, nice little mechanics. Well, refresh though. Oh, you're dead, bud. You're dead.
Uno reverse guard. GQ1 does decide to go in, and it's another solo kill. This time again. Well, I mean, I guess Ketsuo did pick the Quay into the Akali, but the Akali really should be winning these 1v1s.
Shouldn't be taken that low as well. I feel like he's trying to go for what I like to call, you know, the Silas reset, so to speak, right, where you chunk them both evenly so you can kind of save the wave state. And it doesn't happen. He has the TP available, but he's going to respawn. He ends up giving that kill over. You're not going to get, you know, turrets here, but the TP is going to be used by Refresh to at least pick up this next wave. I am at least seeing some life from Venomcrest in this game. And more than life, they are in the lead by, well, not in the lead by gold, but they are in the lead by kills. However, we have to see how they want to play around the next few objectives, because I just feel like the draft from Brod is so easy to execute. And Porp hasn't even been unleashed yet. He's just finished that Leandries. How much damage is this Udyr going to do? How much is this Sivir going to do as well, as they're just pushing him mid? They're looking for the dragon here, Savonix. Ketsuo's too low to even contest.
Yeah, Ketsuo just got tonked out there. It was kind of off screen. Porp did charge forward. The culling is going to be channeled onto that Udyr as he tanks up a bunch of damage. Refresh can't quite jump in as the steadfast presence is being held by Akers. A flash forward from Fraze might finish off the top lane on Brod and Friends. Refresh going to claim that kill credit. It's Venomcrest. They will be able to head over to this dragon with a man advantage as well.
Brod, this is not the same Brod we saw in that last game. We said last game hard to execute, you know, just on the Nocturne, and they looked really, really good about picking the right fights. Here, they're looking to push out mid. They use the empowered ultimate. Hold on a second, they're going to contest this? Orps on the bot side. They're looking for a flank here. They're looking to pincer in the side of Venomcrest.
They do want it. They are at numbers disadvantage, especially with Daisy spawned onto the field, and that dragon's already gone. And I have to question their positioning here. They are now in threat of being chased out. And we can see if there's a TP being channeled by Akers, but it's...
They're going!
It's a massive crash down into the entire squad of Venomcrest. Brod and Friends, they lose the objective, but they wipe the floor with 3 members of Venomcrest. They go ahead and kills, as it's a massive fight in the Dragon.
We had concerns there. They are a member down. Daisy was out. How are Brod's going to play this? And it ends up being an amazing engage from Zeta. And I'll be honest with you, I said this earlier. I had questions of Zeta coming in when he started playing support full-time for the Brods, you know, with the beginning of this year. And every time, well, not beginning, the second split, rather. And every time he's impressed me more and more. What a great engage from one of his more favourable champions in the row. He's looked so good on this champ time and time again. And now, the massive engage to give them the lead. This is a comp we said was more cohesive. It should be more cohesive in the team fights. And now they've got the lead that they need. What, 2k gold in the lead, roughly, Savonix? Udyr online. They're getting Akali back in the game. Yes, the Poppy's out of it, but really, all you need is that steadfast presence, and you're happy to go in this game as the Poppy. Great team fight. After the Dragon, Chris Berg. Ooh, that was close. This Sivir, he's getting online as well. Scary times for Venomcrest.
Yeah, very clutch from Zeta. You could see he was waiting for the exact perfect moment to get that massive engage off. And he was able to do so. They did pick up some kills, but Venomcrest, they do pick up the objectives. And I think playing for that soul could be a game plan of theirs. They have been able to control the objective takes extremely well, pushing in the waves. That first initial catch was very promising to see. feel like Venomcrest, they do know what they're doing. Very experienced players. It's just they can't overplay. That is what their problem was in that particular phase, and if you do that against players like these, you will get punished.
And I've said this so many times on broadcast that they live and die. You know, the shot caller of the team abroad is Porp. He is the general. He leads the line, right? So when he said in that fight we just saw, we're still chasing them out, press the Sivir ultimate key, they went on the hunt. And I think that's what you see here. That's what you see here coming out from the Brods, is that they all are on the same page. QQR, he's a hard dive here. Really hard with Zeta in response. They get the turret, though. The turret is destroyed by Venomcrest. But it's just a bit of a consolation where they end up bringing Phrase down, who's got all these camp marks. He's going to be able to take them. But right now, Udi is getting stronger and stronger, farming. He's taking the Herald as well, and there's no response for Venomcrest. They can't take anything else other than this turret on the other side of the map.
I mean, I was going to say, they commit 4 people down there. I don't know if anyone saw, but on the minimap, Refresh was right behind the whole squad on that potential tower dive just to take the turret. In the meantime, we had Akkers pushing in that top wave there. So Venomcrest losing gold on the top side. Orp is just clearing camps and clearing down the Herald, and so they lost a lot more than they gained off the back of getting that turret.
And it just means that now the game is going to have to go into a state where I think Chrisberg is going to have to step up, maybe trying to get some pressure in this mid lane and then try and make a play around either the next objective or onto, well, not the bot side turret, but maybe the top side turret or something like this. It's very hard now for Venomcrest to actually make a play. I think we commented on the green room that where's their engage coming from? And I guess it's Refresh getting in on QQR, but is that really a way to play? TP as well?
Yeah, now we're going to go for this. Fraser's here with Mateo, TP being channeled by Akkers, and might have been a little bit sold out here by his teammate, but Keeper's Verdict's going to knock out Refresh, and I think there's no damage between the Renata and the Ivan, so Akkers is going to be able to walk this off, and again, another play being made on the bot side, where Venomcrest don't really get anything.
And again, it's because they have to force them, right? They have to make get the stuns. Porp, wait, hold on, Porp's just looking. Look at the damage. Never mind. He's just missed. He's just missed on Matthew, but Matthew's still at risk here.
Yeah. Porp understanding that he's got his turn to play here with Venomcrest using tools in that potential catch onto Akkers and QQR. Dragon does spawn in under a minute, and QQR does have TP, is pushing in that top side. But this approach will be interesting to see.
If you are Broad here, you do want to fight this Drake. You are a lot stronger. You have the IE, for example, completed by the Sivir, who's just going to go run straight in there with, you know, with her melees by her side. You've got all these items completions. Chrisberg caught out in mid. He's under a big risk here. That might be a dead ADC.
Yeah, Chrisberg in trouble. He's going to get some shielding. The redemption coming down as well. It's going to give them so much HP, but it's just not quite enough. QQR with the perfect execution. It's going to pick himself up a double kill as the dragon spawns in 3, 2, 1, and that's going to belong to Broad and Friends.
What a play by Akkers, seeing, or rather the play by Broad, I should say, seeing, you know, Chrisberg's too far up in mid. This is why you pick the Poppy. We were saying it denies a lot of what the Lucian wants to do. Can't get out there as well. Yes, there's the Ivan in response. There's people to help as Ketsuo misses every ability, and Data just runs away.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Hit Howling, the Howling Spare, and there has to be a flash. Either way, just a few trades of stuff. He missed a few abilities, hit a few of them. You know, it happens. That's the Hwei life. Akali's quite far pushed up here in top. Akali, you need to leave. You need to go, buddy.
Yeah, he's going to try to get his way out of here. There is summoner spells for Mateo and Ketsuo if they want to use it. There is a shutdown to be picked up, so if they can kill off QQR, might be worth it. But there we go, 2 flashes. Not many spells hit, but flashes burnt, so that's a big dub.
So that's for Venomcrest. That's actually a lot more important than it would seem, because you've got it off the Sivir, who is a low range ADC, and you got it off the Akali, so that means that maybe Chrisberg has some space to actually breathe in this game. Either way, it's not the best look for Venomcrest with the sort of losses they're sustaining here. Mid turret is still up somehow for Broad and Friends. It's so low, it isn't going to fall here. They aren't able to get the pressure that Lucians like to have around mid lane, and that's often also because of the fact that you don't have a great pairing. You don't have like a Nami to play around mid, or a Milia, or even the Braum to step up on him. You have this Renata who's kind of, Matthew's been very quiet this game, sort of walking around doing what he can do, and now putting the Ketsuo to play in mid as well, you're bleeding a little bit here, because you're so scared about putting anyone onto side into the Akali, because the Akali is going to run down the way in the lane, and it has a very good matchup into the Jax on that side lane as well. So you're actually just bleeding resources slowly. You're now 5k gold behind. And if you're Venomcrest, again, who's making your plays? Is it going to have to be a huge Renata ultimate? The counter-strike from the Jax? A Daisy knock-up? How are you going to make it happen? How are you going to come back and keep your playoff dreams alive?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of comes down to the general discussion of this Venomcrest composition. Ease of execution is definitely in favor of Brod and Friends. There's no go button, again, same as game one, and we saw how difficult that was for them to play. And I mean, they had a better early game this time around, but they weren't able to do anything with it. And for the same reason, there's just no go button. They can't really force anything on their own hand, and it's kind of up to Brod and Friends to make the mistake.
And now with the item completions as well for Brod's second items going through, we already saw the IEs. Never mind, ignore my point, Paul. He's just going Zeta. Huge ultimate.
Oh my lord, Zeta! It's just doing it time after time! We don't even need to talk about anything else that's being landed, because the man, the myth, the legend, the rel, the support of Brod and Friends is making the plays. We talk about that go button. There it is, ladies and gentlemen.
And this is what we were saying, funnily enough, in the previous game, and it's somewhat in this game for Venomcrest. If you've got that ability to make plays, the ability to go in as... Wait, hold on, Zeta's also still looking. He's still going in mid. This could be a dead Ketsuo.
This man does not want to stop. Ketsuo is now in trouble. Isn't even going to use the flash. Perfect execution was used to aura farm, not even for damage. I mean, this is just starting to become a very one-sided game.
And what looked like Venomcrest early on, getting that first kill on Chrisberg, maybe there's a chance here that they can play to what we all view as their win condition. Everyone in the scene says it's Chrisberg, it's the Chrisberg show. He's the one to make Venomcrest tick, the one to win them the games. He's been shut down in this series, quite frankly, so far. Nothing in game one. This game he gets the first kill and then nothing afterwards. And Brod and Friends, they've come to play today. 12-4 on the scoreboard. Almost 10k gold lead. What a performance. From what many would say is the fan favourite team, wouldn't they, Savonix? Let's be honest. People do love the Brods in the UKEL, and they're showing why they've got some fans today, and maybe, finally, the fans will be happy. Because they haven't shown it in previous splits. They haven't shown it in previous splits. Let's be honest.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely a reality that they have to face, but I think what's more impressive, right, is I feel like right now this split is, you know, I think arguably the strongest the UKL has looked. And this is the split that Brod and Friends have also stepped up their game. They opened their split with a defeat to Bulldog Academy. And we sit here right now in such an exciting series. And they've kind of turned it into not an exciting series by just demolishing their opponents.
They've given barely any room. As we see an objective bounties claimed in mid. That mid turret was going to fall at some point. It was basically one hit away from falling, so not surprising there. If you are Brod, let's just cross the eyes, not the eyes and cross the T's.
Cross the eyes.
Don't cross the eyes. Just make sure you get this dragon, which is up in 40 seconds. Don't give Venomcrest a chance to be on soul point. You've got the strength of your champions now. You've got the Akali online with the items, with the mobility of the Proto, with the damage from the death cap. Let's just make sure with one more massive rel engage, or even just a small one, you're going to be there in the lower bracket final for a best of 5 versus 5 IQ. Let's just get over that hump, Rod.
Yeah.
Let's get to that lower bracket.
It's very, very close. They are one step away from a showdown within quick, but until then, they still have to get this one over the line. Let's throw some praise to the bot side of Brod and Friends. You know, every opponent Chrisberg and Mateo has come up against has just sort of been wiped off the floor. We're talking 22k drops, 15k drops, 40,000 damage dealt per game from Chrisberg. They come up against Spark and Zeta, and they've been like Chrisberg and Mateo have been missing this series. I don't know really what they've done.
It's been amazing, right? We had this question. I think this was something that in one of the recaps we were discussing about bot lanes in the league and how you need to have a very strong bot lane to compete with the teams at the top. And it's so clear that Brod have one of those strong bot lanes that might be able to contend for the finals. Hold on, and looking for something at least on Aka's side, but this reeks of desperation to me, Savonix. This does not smell like it's a play that they want to be making. They don't have any side lane pressure. Fraser's wandering around hoping to find something. That Ivan, it's not worked out. We said this. No. Was Ivan a Phrase champion? Maybe it is, but he doesn't seem to be confident on it this game. He made one play early on, and honestly, that's been about it for Venomcrest. It's just been a couple of kills answered here and there. I'm just so surprised because I feel like Venomcrest they didn't have the best lower bracket games, but they looked dominating in those games. It was questions whether the strength of the opponents was there and whether Venomcrest, when they came out with a good team, would be good. Chrisberg is in a bad spot here, but just going to walk away. But Venomcrest, they've struggled this series, haven't they, let's be honest? They've really struggled.
They absolutely haven't. I mean, we've seen FaZe and Port face up against each other multiple times throughout the year, honestly, and I feel like I've never seen the gap as big as this series. I'm not sure whether that's due to champion comfort, as you said, but I mean, Port's definitely turned up. I don't want to be too harsh on FaZe because, again, I've never really seen him play Ivan either, but it just doesn't seem like he's up for it today.
And in this game, he's picked FaZe's main champ away from him and says, anything you can do, I can do better. And Akers, he's in a great spot here. So Chrisberg, they're so caught out.
Oh my lord, it's a two-man keeper's verdict. These are the tanks of Brod and Friends just in a 2v5, but maybe they bit more than they can chew. QQR, he's coming in with a massive amount of damage. That perfect execution. Gonna finish off one. He is gonna pick himself up. A double kill, actually. That goes over to Akers. And down goes to Quay as well. It is just Brod and Friends all the way through this series. FaZe is going to be the one running away with a tail behind his legs. And this Baron just belongs to Brod and Friends. I feel like this series is starting to belong to Brod and Friends as Venomcrest really not showing up.
And again, if we did Venomcrest highlights from this series, it would be about a minute-long clip, let's be honest. Brod has been on it from minute 1 so far. From game 1, the Nocturne Oriana, being able to put pressure on Chrisberg. This game 2, 1 kill early on, but since then, all Brod and Friends all the way. And right there, we see another engage by Zeta, and I'm sure the people who are watching, we've got a lot of Brod Ultras in the chat, I'm sure. They're going to be loving seeing Louis turning up on Rel, turning up and taking them to the lower bracket final, because let's be honest, so far for me, Zeta has been absolutely on fire this game with engage after engage. Absolutely, at least my MVP for this game. What a performance from the support of Brod, and what a performance from all of the Brods across the board. They won a holiday before the playoffs started. They didn't look great against Inquick, let's be honest. They did drop 2-1 in that series, but since then they have clearly been putting time in because they look phenomenal.
Yeah, I think the big difference as well, if we kind of look back at some of their games across the split, even in their wins, there have always been that like mid-game mistake where they all kind of die and it looks a little dicey. This series, they've barely put a foot wrong. It's been so clean throughout the entire 2 games, and I mean, if this is the momentum Brod are taking into their next series, I think Inquick might be It might be up for it against this strong and in-form Brod and Friends roster.
When you've got Porp firing and also the Zeta behind, being able to make those engages, you've got Spark being able to put out the damage, and QQR as well being able to turn up. He didn't have the best laning phase in this game, at least with the solo kill, but overall has shown a lot of damage, a lot of pressure onto the side of Venomcrest in this game. When you've got all of those places, the Cabbage Corps firing all the cylinders, they've gone for Porp. This is too little, too late, mate. Akers is here.
Wait, there's no damage.
There's no damage. There's no damage. They can't kill Porp. They can't do anything.
They just threw everything at Anudia and he's half HP.
I know he's going to heal back up with Turtle Stance. Yeah, it's an absolutely wonderful world to be living in when FaZe gets a taste of his own medicine playing the Udyr champion, right?
Yeah,
he has to face his it's almost like the demon, the shadow side of himself is right here. Brod, they're looking here to end the game. They're looking to put the pressure and finish it with this Baron. One more engage. One more play. Brod are going to make it happen.
Venomcrest are trying. Refresh does get a counter-strike onto Port, but I mean, he's just laughing in their face. That is straight up disrespect, but he's earned it. It's Venomcrest, they just can't do anything. They're standing in front of their enemies, throwing what they can, but it's just not really amounting to anything. Brod and Friends don't even have to worry about this dragon. Chrisberg throws out a culling, but it's cosmetic as far as I'm concerned. They're just pushing through this top side now. Warp is looking for a flank. They do get a jump onto QQR. Doesn't do very much damage. QQR pops a perfect execution, and FaZe is eliminated from this series, eliminated from this game, and possibly from this split of the UKL 4 nations. And down, well, okay. I mean, I believe Spark has been slain by his own teammates off the back of a hostile takeover. And I think that should stop Brod and Friends from ending the game, but it's a small consolation prize, and if that was a shutdown, it did go over to a Renata, so not ideal.
not ideal. There is a dragon available as well, but without Fraser, you'd assume, you know, no jungler. They're not going to try and take the smite fight. They're just going to clear their base. I mean, it was a massive hostile takeover, to be fair.
It was
from the
pretty big.
That's why we last picked that Renata in this game, for the humongous 29-minute hostile takeover. But either way, I do think that this game, it should be in the bag. Let's be honest. If Rod managed to throw this, and they've thrown bigger gold leads, but equivalent gold leads, then it's possible. But at the moment, Rod are looking good. They should end this game quite cleanly. With Civic coming back up, with all the items online, with the Udyr unkillable, they just need to make one more fight happen. And if you are Venomcrest, the concern we had from the beginning, from the draft, is how do you make a play happen? Because that's what you need. You can't just wait to lose, because you are just going to lose. You need to find a pick, and how do you find that pick? It's difficult. You've got a couple little skill shots to throw out that let you go towards.
That sequence right there, the Bron friends are just pushing inhibs. Venomcrest are just watching them do it because they can't press any button to stop them. As Akers, I mean, talk about go buttons. A two-man keeper's birding. Follow up with an engage from Zeta. QQR's going to go dominating as Pork just runs through the backline of Venomcrest. And look who's unleashing massive amounts of DPS. Nice spell shield from Spark to dodge away the hostile takeover. Chrisberg is on his last legs. Is going to get the final shot down, and down goes Pulp eventually. But those Nexus turrets are definitely not standing any much longer. I think Brod and friends have just booked their ticket to face Quick in the next round of the lower bracket, because Venomcrest, I'm waiting to see how this one ends because it's taking a while. But they are going to go down. Brod and friends, a confident 2-0.
And dominant destruction. I mean, I've said domination twice. Just absolutely, just an incredible performance from Brod today. I'm sure Joel and I should say their runner, Nemly and Gov will be very, very happy with that performance, and then going up into the lower bracket final. They're going to be able to try and take some revenge against Inquick there. That could be very exciting. It will be a best of 5 as well. Fearless best of 5, first one we'll have of the split. And I think just overall, great performance. Really exciting stuff to see in going forward for Brod. And Venomcrest, commiserations. I mean, Unlimited maybe came in too little too late. They looked good in their previous series. They did have good performances, but now it's going to be Brod, Inquick. One of those two are going to meet Belfast in the finals. Going to play on stage in Stoke. Have to see who they're going to be.
Commiserations, and I mean, we still have to praise the players of Venomcrest for Chrisberg. What a playoffs run that was. But we'll throw it to the desk. We won't take too much time. Take it away.
Thank you very much. Swiftly on from the casters in a swift series from the Brod and friends. I think that whilst we had a lot of Brod-favoured predictions coming into this series, I don't think anyone really anticipated how swiftly they were able to dispatch their opponents. And whilst we have to say kudos to the Brods, it did feel to look like Venomcrest just weren't themselves today.
No, they really didn't get into any of the games, which is unfortunate, because at the end of the day, I think no team wants to come up and play like that. It's not something that anyone will come away feeling good about. I guess the only thing they can say is, you know, probably just didn't turn up today, and that's life.
Yeah, it was a rough one, and I mean, Bandit, this game started rough relatively early on. I think we've got the first of a few replays coming up to just illustrate how Brod and friends just kind of just took over this game, and Venomcrest weren't really able to answer back.
Yeah, and I think if this will be the replay that we'll be looking at, it is like an actual crime. The contest looks very shaky. The flank doesn't end up in anything. Yet they still find this gap, this chip in the armor that they managed to exploit to its absolute fullest extent.
It's a great replay, guys. It's a really good replay, which hopefully we will have soon. But generally, it was very much like that. Oh, there we are. Boom. Yes, Bandit.
Here,
absolutely insane attempt at a retake here.
Keep your eye on the Udyr here coming up. Sure, they're putting up this pincer. It leads to nothing. They can't really engage. They can't really find their way in. And now it's just 5v4, and they're all split up. So surely we just win it, or we go home. The dragon is gone, and then 3-man Magnet Storm, and this Sivir just waltzes over them, and nothing in the whole wide world can stop Brod and friends from realizing their ticket to Stoke.
hey, this is the sort of thing that this organisation does, Turok. They just take these fights in random, horrific positions. I know that the comms from ourselves in the green room watching that whole series were not really encouraging them to fight, but they pull it off. They managed to make it work, and it does just feel like today they out-executed in pretty much every circumstance.
They look like a team that's been here before. And I mean, not to hark back to what I said too much earlier on, but they look really comfortable. You know, it was just, regardless of theory, regardless of whatever's going on, they had a game plan. I think Corp was farming up a Storm all game. The fights were taken on his terms, and you know, in comparison, Fraser looked very uncomfortable in most in the 2 games we saw today. And you know, that really is the difference when it comes down to these, you know, important lower bracket games, the ones where, you know, everything's kind of on the line. Usually it's the person who does not feel as much pressure that ends up winning, and I think it was pretty clear that one team was playing with a lot of pressure, the other team was not.
Yeah, and I think if you have to look at it, the approach really was two-pronged. Not only were they getting their own carries ahead, they really zoned in on what the weak points were on Venomcrest, and we saw this exact trick over and over. The Magnet Storms just waltzing over one, this Sivir being as safe as a penny in my hand. Man, they kept falling for the same tricks over and over. And even when it was not executed as perfectly every single time, they were just so far ahead that it didn't even matter in the end anymore.
That is a wonderful phrase that I've never heard before, Bandit. I'm going to use that one in the future. But I like what you highlighted about the replay almost looking the same, because it was you Sivir roll, you get the rel to land on top of someone, and I think, Tarek, one of the potential saving graces that we were talking about for the Venomcrest composition is like, okay, maybe there's ways that they can create some space in team fights and break things up a little bit, but they just weren't able to do that because of, like we're going to see again, Venomcrest just being absolutely relentless and ruthless every time they engage.
Yeah, and I mean, this is one of the really tricky things about playing a composition with like Ivan and Renata. If you get flanked like this in the way that Poppy managed to do so in this fight, and everyone's able to follow up, it doesn't matter what pure tools you might or might not have between like Hui, Renata, Ivan. At the end of the day, if the fight begins in a way where Akali's able to find a flank on you, where Poppy's able to find a flank on you, where your Jax is stuck in the backline being zoned by Udyr, you simply just cannot survive as this very like paper-thin backline. And this is where a champ like Akali thrives, right? As soon as she's in there, you don't have any CC for her, and she can just clean up the entire fight, which is what QQR did. And really, there was no coming back for them. I mean, probably earlier on in the game than this, but this really sealed the deal.
Yeah, big performances there from kind of every member of the Prod. I feel like we have been talking a lot about Porp, and I think if there were to be an MVP for the series, I think that he would probably be the best shout, but it didn't really feel Bandit like anyone was sort of dragging their heels on Prod and Friends. Everyone was stepping up and was playing at the level that they needed to today.
Definitely, and even when you look at QQR, who had been experiencing a bit of a rough game in game 1, he handled it pretty well, and the command shockwaves were still on point. So even when he was behind, he was still making an impact on the game. So what have we seen from Broad Friends today? We've seen flexibility and diversity in drafting. We've seen them play under pressure, hard lane, and capitalizing on the weakness of their opponents. And they just seem very well rounded.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, that should serve them well in their next matchup as the winners of this series progress through to face off against 5IQ for a spot in the grand finals in Stoke up against Belfast Storm. And I think that Ron and Friends, they've kind of had to do this the hard way, coming through the lower bracket and of course already losing to Inkquick. They are going to be ripe for revenge in that matchup. And yeah. Oh no, it wasn't.
No, we're just letting it sit there for effect, you know.
Yeah, well, hold on, why have you all just stopped talking there?
Honestly, Honestly, I was like, am I lagging or what went on? Because I was really confused.
No one.
Like, because the
just-
entire
right,
speech
okay,
froze and I
right,
can't
no.
say anything. Doesn't matter. You know, but it's very true, right? Especially when you've played a best of 3 in the upper bracket, you've ended up, you know, losing 2-1. You've come back through the lower bracket. In some respects, you know a lot more about yourself and how your team wants to play going back into sort of the rematch. You've actually had more experience of a couple of best of 3s now that could have been tricky. Obviously, Venomcrest ended up being pretty easy for Venomcrest in the end, but I think it's very much the matchup that Venomcrest we